All right, this is a hard boys stream only. All soft boys are going to need to vacate the premises immediately. All right, if you're a bubble blowing baby, you got to leave. You ready? Okay. Look, I got a denim jacket. It's going to take like a million years to break in, so I'm getting started now. Yeah, it's hard boy hours. We hard as fuck right now. And the AC loud as fuck too. Do you wear that in the bathtub too? No, this is not a bathtub garment. Every goddamn time you go on vacation. I know, I know. You don't put every piece of denim in the bath, you know. Artemy and Ruben are. Ooh. They're all playing a bunch of torn up paper towel. How was vacation? It's good. Looks a little goofy buttoned up. I don't personally like buttoned up denim jackets. I like how they look unbuttoned, but you have to have it buttoned up to break it in. Well, not really, but it helps. When I first got it, I couldn't even button it up, but now I've stretched out enough that I can. Look how damn slim this thing is. This is crazy. Look at this. It's like a fucking shirt. Look at that. We're working it out. But it hides your sick tattoo. Yeah, but I've got another tattoo. Woo! Confederate General Vosh. It's so cool how confidently you guys speak without knowing anything about anything. Where'd you get that one? The tattoo or the jacket? The jacket's Ironheart. It's like a motorcycle jacket, you know? I'm a culture vulture. What can I say? Oh, they're playing. They're playing. Trucker jacket, though? Yes, it's a denim trucker jacket. Show the fucking leg. It's a funky fish. How much was it? Don't worry about it. I got it on sale, okay? I'm a savvy buyer. I really wish you could see them. Ruben! So silly. Did you win it in a motorcycle duel? I went down to Portland for a weekend road trip, and I managed to pull off an Akira slide in front of a bunch of hooting Harley Davidson guys, and they gave me the jacket. That jacket got you looking like Chuck Norris. I was about to make a narwhal bacon at midnight joke, but the Chuck Norris reference actually predates that. Damn, they're cute. Besides, it'll be fun to have it on for stream because then people who only watch the YouTube segments are going to be like, why the fuck is Vosh wearing a denim, a buttoned up denim jacket indoors for these political segments, you know? It's just a bit. It's a good bit, okay? I like the jacket, don't know if the pants fit them is all. Really? The gray cotton pants I'm wearing with them don't fit the motorcycle jacket? Yeah, I suppose not. Probably not. I hadn't thought about that. I thought they matched, but now that you've pointed it out. uh, What do you even wear with denim shirts? Jeans? Um, well, I'm not wearing a denim shirt. I'm wearing a denim jacket. Usually people wear chambray shirts. No, you're not getting me into this right off the bat. I went down to Portland. They have a nice salvage denim store called Self Edge. Get it? Why is it so close fitting? Seems different for a jean jacket. It's pretty common for this style of denim jacket. Anyway, I had a good time down there. A lot of fun. Downtown Portland is pretty nice. There's lots to do too if you don't mind stepping over homeless people. But I grew up in LA and I live in Seattle, so clearly I don't mind stepping over homeless people. Denim is ugly like 80% of the time and uncomfortable basically universally. I don't get it. Post fit pics, Young Trey 100. I mean we don't have to do this, but we can if you're really, really, really insistent. Denim isn't uncomfortable. That's what I just said, Wrestling with a Bear. You have to listen to the entire sentence to get the comedic beat. I agree, denim is 100% uncomfortable, especially for pants. Matt, this tweet blowing up on 8th grade Twitter. Anyone else think people wearing jeans is dumb? They're so uncomfortable. I would rather wear sweatpants everywhere. Okay, gotcha. Thank you. Go play with a fidget spinner, you fucking... Denim's uncomfy. It's okay. I only thought denim was uncomfy in middle school. Well, I mean, keep in mind, we're in VGG right now, so, you know. I like synthetic pants better. Me when I have to buy a new pair every 6 days. I just don't like stiff fabrics. Well, thankfully, denim doesn't stay stiff. That's the point of wearing it. You motherfuckers are so used to just getting, no, nothing, never mind, never mind. I don't want to do this. People don't believe in breaking clothes in because everyone just, like, buys new clothes before they... Have you guys ever worn, like, Abercrombie? Denim? They pre-distress that shit. It's already pretty soft, you know? Shoes are so uncomfortable, they're too stiff. Saying you wouldn't wear denim as pants because it's uncomfortable is like the people who are like, man, breaking in new shoes is so uncomfortable, you know? I'm going to exclusively wear, like, slippers forever. It's they zipping. Exactly, Spaced. Where's the shirt from? It's a jacket, and it's from Ironheart. It takes a little bit of wear, but eventually you break it in and it's real comfortable. Trying to find the damn, like, promotional images that I saw before buying it. But as is so often the case, now Google wants to show me, like, other random pieces of clothing that aren't the specific item that I was referring to. You know how it is. Oh yeah, here we go. Look, see? You just got to wear it in a little bit. Gets nice and cozy. Usually this comes at the end of stream. Well, I am wearing it and not button it up. Yeah, you don't normally button it up. Thoughts on denim trend in the 2000s? You know I'm not a fan. The slub is nice distinct. Yeah, it feels really interesting too. Why does raw denim cost even more, even though it takes less steps to make? It doesn't take less steps to make. It actually takes quite a long time to make. Raw denim isn't made with the projectile looms that you get from like most denim sales manufacturers, you know? Um, it's made in a much slower process. Oftentimes it's hand dyed in indigo. You know, it's a whole thing. I have one pair of good denim jeans. They feel like sweatpants and good enough to wear to a wedding. Yeah, no, it's worth putting in a little bit of effort sometimes. I agree. Also, most denim is a blend with elastane or nylon rather than 100% cotton. Yeah, you want 100% denim, you know, denim. Chat is just full of autists with sensory issues. Well, I mean, that is part of it, but it's also like most people wear cheap shit, you know, in terms of the material of their clothing, so they don't really know what breaking in clothing feels like. How are jackets supposed to fit around the shoulders? Completely depends on the jacket. There's no one way they're supposed to fit around the shoulders. Look at how distinct the slub is on that. All the white dots. It's so cool. Nice, Punkarella. Wow. 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 Well, I like it. Thoughts on basic bitch Levi's denim? Modern Levi's are pretty low quality, unfortunately. Artemy. I heard he was a little bitch while I was gone. Being grumpy, growling. Did you miss me? Wah! You little fat ass. What are you jumping for? Ah, because you're stupid. I see. Well, now I feel like I'm just helping him, you know? I don't want to like let him go because he's getting so much done. Are you good? Okay. Mwah. Very productive cat. Got these platform shoes over a year ago. When I first got them, I thought they were too small, but now I've been able to walk on trails and the stupid things. Well, I wouldn't recommend walking on trails with platform shoes, but I'm very happy they broke in. Yeah, it's definitely one of those like one of those things that's red pilled me more with time. The thought of like, oh my God, clothes used to be more comfortable than they are now because they fit better and the materials were better. Um, but that didn't serve capital interest very well because, you know, a person who has like 4 pairs of pants that they bought 6 years ago that are perfectly comfortable and fit them perfectly and go with a bunch of other stuff, like you don't have to buy any more shit, you know? Ah, well. Excuse me. Oh, for sure, K Comrade Robin Hood. You, Vosh, paint your nasty ass nails. Nice try, but we don't do catty mean girl shit here. Or, well, we do, but I do it. You know, I have to. I'm the one who does that. You know, you can't do it. I can do it. I can do it. All right. How does it feel never being able to take a day off without the world going to shit again? It makes me feel like I should do politics, you know? Here. We'll do this for the gram, okay? Let me let myself breathe a bit. We're already making good progress. I laden a bit with this. I mean, the nice thing about a jacket like this, I mean, once you break it in, you kind of never need one again because they're indestructible. I'm like wearing leather armor, basically. I think it's nice. See? It's good. It's got a good... All right. The lighting makes your body look like a void. Yeah, I have relatively dim lighting in my studio because I have to be in here for streams. I don't have like a perfect lighting setup because both of the light fixtures that do the all-around lighting are in front of me. So I'm planning on addressing that sometime soon, but I try to keep the lights dim. Okay, Artemis going to stay with us. He's right. There's his butt. All right. All right. Move slow and deliberately, Ormond. Brazil did the Bernie Sanders steel chair. I don't know if Bernie Sanders invented the steel chair maneuver, though it is true that he beefed the hell out of Hillary Clinton. What the hell is going on over here?
E falou que você queria ter feito. Você não é homem nem para fazer isso. Você não é homem.
Não, Datena.
Olha. Vai.
Não.
Oh my God.
Nossos comerciais, por favor.
Yeah, sorry, I don't speak Portuguese. What? Pardon me for projecting my American, like, two-party understanding of politics. Which one of these is the Lula party guy, and which one of these is the Bolsonaro party guy? The guy that got hit is an asshole politician? Okay, so this is the Bolsonaro. They're both Hitler. They are both fascist. Oh my God. The best possible outcome? Hitler v. Hitler? Two Hitlers? Yum.
E falou que você queria ter feito. Você não é homem nem para fazer isso. Você não é homem.
Não, Datena.
Olha. Vai.
Não. Nossos comerciais, por favor.
That rules. What's going on down there? You are not a man. Brazil mayoral. Okay, mayoral candidate. Okay, so we're doing local. Smash his opponent with metal chair mid-debate. It's a good debate strategy. Over the mention of a 2019 sexual harassment allegation that was withdrawn. It's always like that with, you'll have to forgive me, it's always like that with male politicians, isn't it? It's always like that. The men's rights advocates in my audience will have to forgive me. Many such cases. Male politicians too emotional for politics. That's true. You don't see women beefing each other with metal chairs. What's going on with that? Why are men so emotional? Okay, we have a lot of links that I need to get through that are essentially just like what I retweeted for the 2 days that I deigned to take for personal time on a road trip. I was very efficient with my road trip, by the way. Just to make it clear, I streamed the day that I left. I streamed in the morning. I started an hour early at, 10 a.m., which for a guy like me, the analysms we slip into when deep pain, like, racks my face. 10 a.m. start, I know. Then we immediately left, I came back, you know, last evening, today, this morning I streamed. So I'm just saying I wasn't like overly generous with the time. I know, poor guy, I agree. 2 days I'm away, and that's all it takes. 2 fucking days. Was the road trip at least fun? It was delightful.
I mean, somebody would find it harsh using the term, you know, infestation and cockroaches and things like that. All you have to do is interview or spend some time with some victims, some migrant victims that are here in this country. And you'll understand that the governor has not overstated the issue. In fact, he has well stated the issue. And Texas is not going to allow any part of this state to be infested.
I think one of the most frustrating things about the modern, like, neo-Nazi resurgence in the United States is that most of the people who are Hitler genuinely don't think they're Hitler, and the supporters of those Hitlers don't think that they're supporting Hitler. Like, it would be a lot less frustrating if the Republican voters would point to this and go, yes, I love saying that the foreigners are Untermensch, or whatever, you know? Yes, I am aware of what this is. I understand the context and the rhetoric. I know what I'm supporting. But no one believes that. They'll do, like, every single thing they'll say exactly the same shit Hitler did. No, it doesn't, and then in their minds, they're like, well, no, it's different, man. Hitler used that rhetoric against a minority outgroup that they were using as a scapegoat to blame Germany's problems on. We're doing it with Mexicans. Totally different.
That type of disease.
That's great, man. Hitler said it in German, too. That is also true. Hitler did say it in the German language, which is different than the English language. And I think that the woke left doesn't often acknowledge that difference, you know, because they lie. I mean, speaking of, like, Hitlerite language, pretty much everyone saw this, right? Again, like, I leave for 2 days. The editor-in-chief of the National Review. Not that this is, like, surprising from the editor-in-chief of the National Review, but, you know, you all saw this, right? Yeah, it's not shocking, you know, I'm gone for 2 days.
I think it was in that interview where Dana Bash says, you know, the police have gone through 11 months of recordings of calls, and they've only found 2 Springfield residents calling to complain about Haitian migrants taking geese from ponds. Only 2 calls. And
that's crazy, man. That was, like, you could get a lot of mileage out of, you know, playing dumb over what he said if he had just said the noise. But he didn't even like, it wasn't even like a slip, like he said N, then corrected. He just said the whole word. He didn't even just make it to the G. He made it to the GE, you know? He failed that QuickTime event. Oh, yeah. Jesus Christ.
Where Dana Bash says, you know, the police have gone through 11 months of...
His excuse is that he was crossing the word immigrant and migrant. Where'd the N come from?
Recordings of calls, and they've only found 2 Springfield residents calling to complain about Haitian migrants taking geese.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy.
From ponds. Only 2 calls, and
like he's immediately smiling it off, because I think this is a little bit maybe of the, you know, assumptions, making an ass of you and me on my part, but when a racist person lets the racism slip, I've seen they very often laugh it off. And when a non-racist person says something as mortifyingly implicating as basically just dropping the hard R in the worst possible context, but accidentally, they usually immediately are like, oh my God, wait, you know, he doesn't give a shit. He thinks it's funny.
I think one lesson in this whole story, people don't care about geese. People really hate geese.
He's still smiling.
They, all things considered, yeah. I think people would prefer Haitian migrants to come and take the geese off the golf course, right? So it's pets, yeah. It's the cats and dogs that's become the standard. Geese clearly don't matter.
I mean,
and Megyn Kelly's just, you know, Megyn Kelly's just fine with it. She doesn't give a shit. I mean, she's been in the, you know, She's been around the water cooler enough. She knows what the talk is like. How can you actually keep with the mentality after dropping the N-bomb? Because you got to understand, all of these people drop the N-bomb constantly when they're off camera. That's not like a conspiratorial assumption. I guarantee 100% they do. Absolutely 100% at their parties, their soirees, their fundraisers, whatever else. You know, it's so I like, it's not like they're unfamiliar with it. It just shows how much conservatives really want to say the N-word in public but can't admit it. I mean, we're kind of getting there, man. That's why they're so stupid. They spend all their mental energy on code switching. Okay, you think that's a joke. Maybe you don't. I genuinely think that occupies more of the conservative IQ than you might think. Like a shocking amount. For instance, Laura Loomer is the Nazi jigsaw character that Trump is currently porking. God bless him. And she made a racist comment about Kamala Harris. This from 11 minutes ago. J.D. Vance was asked if they were offended by Loomer's racist anti-Indian comments, you know, especially considering the fact that J.D. Vance's wife is Indian. J.D. Vance said he doesn't like those comments and that they're a distraction from Harris's policies. Kamala Harris is running for president, and whether you're eating curry at your dinner table or fried chicken, things have gotten more expensive thanks to her policies, Vance said. Vance with the, like, Disco Elysium-esque, like, roll check in his head. Don't say the one of two items of food associated with the racial group I'm currently instigating a pogrom against. Don't, please, whatever you do, there's like a million foods out there. Don't say one of the two foods associated with the racial group I am instigating a pogrom against at this moment. And he failed. Are women bourgeois? Is fried chicken bourgeois? The answer may surprise you. Can't wait for Walls to destroy him in the debate. I don't want to get too doomer about this because it's not really my style. But it really is crazy how much worse things are now from the Trump side than they were 8 years ago. It genuinely feels like Trump isn't even trying. He's barely campaigning. His messaging is stagnant. He sounds like a lunatic. Like, people said this back in 2016, but he sounds so much worse now than he did back then. It seems like he's given up. Every day, there's like 50 new horrible gaffes from his party. And it seems like it's not moving the polls at all. Now, the polls are devilish, I acknowledge this, but it feels like we're going down to a coin flip on the stupidest possible margins. It doesn't even matter, you know? I'm telling you guys, it's not about the gaffes. It's not about the debate performance. It's about the fact that like 70 million Americans are blanketed from the moment they wake up to the moment they fall asleep with nonstop fascist propaganda that is constructed by the bourgeois in an effort to distract them from the fact that they're getting robbed blind. That is it. It's talk radio. It's Fox News. It's, Russian bots that are being allowed to propagate freely on Twitter. That's it. They're all lantern fly. For these people, like, the debate performances don't matter. A lot of these Trump supporters think that Kamala Harris is going to end the fucking world. I feel like there's no way Trump gets more votes than he did in 2020. I don't want to make a fool out of myself by making a prediction errantly that turns out not to be true. My guess is he will get about the same number of votes as he did in 2020. That would be my guess. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. I don't know. That's my guess. Today, Kamala Harris broke into net positive favorability. Is that true? Okay, I'm going to admit I didn't actually expect that to happen. Oh, wait. There we go. For the first time in a long time, we have net 0.01 positive favorability for Kamala Harris. I know that sounds like pathetic, but it's pretty meaningful. It's pretty meaningful. I would not have expected that. And Donald Trump's, of course, holds steady, and it's going to continue to hold steady, you know, in this rough whatever, this space. Because you're either in with the cult or you're out with the cult. Also, Billie Eilish out for Harris. Oh, how long before Elon Musk threatens to rape Billie Eilish? Countdown. Everyone, set your timers. Elon Musk has exactly one way of thinking about women. Is Billie Eilish a woman? A woman? A women? Are women bourgeois? I always forget this. Yes? Okay, I don't know. You never know with these woke types. You'd see a chick with like the half open eyes, like an anime drawing. You know, you never know if they're non-binary. I don't know. All I know is that she did a James Bond song that I haven't heard, I think. See, cool. I think that's true to an extent, but I really do think that like I keep saying this and I'm going to keep saying it. I don't care if it's like I don't care how it comes across. It's just true, and I'm not going to like bullshit you guys. The insurmountable wall we're dealing with here is that a significant portion of the voting population of this country is like tucked into bed every night by fascist propaganda. They get woken up to a morning blowjob from fascist propaganda. They cook their breakfast to morning fucking fascist propaganda. They like it's day in, day out, nonstop, insane shit. 50 trillion Mexicans across the border, illegal MS-13 sleeper cells in every city, Hamas ready to kill you, you know, nonstop. It really doesn't matter. Like for people in that space, there is absolutely nothing Trump could do to lose their vote or Kamala Harris could do to win their vote. It is not possible. And that's why I say some of these people are beyond saving. They're not literally beyond saving, right? Any individual human can, you know, I mean, I can't make blanket statements about everyone that are that definitive, but like generally speaking, yeah. Is there a way to reduce the amount of fascist propaganda? I still think that mass arrests over January 6th have both a strong legal and moral pretext. I still think that you can make a very decent argument for treason. It was an attack on the United States government and democracy, and that everyone who facilitated it and everyone who like aided and abetted it is at the very least like under suspicion and under investigation. Is that dictatorial? No! You tried to overthrow the government, you stupid pieces of shit. That's like it's like that's like asking if self-defense is authoritarian. What are you talking about? Being arrested doesn't mean you're instantly incarcerated. It means that you defend yourself in a trial. But like, yeah, it was a coup attempt on the United States government. We had a civil war over this. That's not like a crazy lefty take or whatever. I feel like it's pretty basic, but okay. Whatever. Whatever. All right. I like your denim moment, Vosh. Very cool. Thank you. I'm breaking it in right now. That's why I'm wearing it. But I'm only going to mention that between segments. See? Really though, I think look at the profile on that, you know? I think it's really cool. I know the cameras don't pick much of it up because I have it pretty low light in here, but you know. Too dark, can't see. Yeah. I feel like it's a bit short. No. It's the kind of jacket. It's a trucker jacket. Very deliberate. There we go. See? It's nice. Very slimming, you know? Look at that. Sweats kind of ruin it. I'm not assembling a fit. I'm trying to be comfy for stream. I'm breaking in the jacket. You said you'd be wearing pants today? Well, I meant like not just underwear. We're working on an NB Potato Head. It looks way better when you wear it open like that. Yeah, I agree. The only reason I'm wearing it closed is to stretch it out. When I first tried it on the store, I couldn't actually close it. Now, because I'm breaking it in, I can close it relatively easily, you know? Besides, the more you use the buttons and open and close it and so on, the more you wear them and make it easier to close or open. Generally, yeah, you don't close denim jackets. I mean, you can, of course you can do whatever you want, but do you put a graphic tee or something basic underneath? Denim trucker jackets look fantastic with a graphic tee. Yeah. Because they're very informal, you know? Yeah, they look fantastic with it. I can't stand how denim feels. Denim doesn't feel just one way. Denim feels lots of different ways. It depends on how much you break it in, the quality of the weave. But if you break in denim, it gets to be very comfortable. Graphic tee, are you 14? Graphic tee aversion, are you dead inside? What are you talking about? Graphic tee, everyone knows once you become a man, all you're allowed to wear are ill-fitting polos that hang down to your knees and cargo short. What are you talking about? Graphic tee? You can look sick as hell in a graphic tee. Besides, it's like a classic biker culture. I mean, not necessarily biker, but having like a dope, like faded vintage graphic tee and then a denim jacket over that. I mean, to me, this is like classic Americana, right? This is like epitomizing a specific kind of how to look sick as hell. That's punk, not biker. You're right. That's more punk than biker. I'm thinking in my head like there are versions of this that are, yeah, but it's definitely more close to punk. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool either way. It's cool. You should skew a bit more formal as you age. Hard disagree. 100% disagree. What you should try to do more as you age is find what you like and lean into it, you know? You can do whatever the hell you want, man. Okay, I'm going to bust out the card. I'm going to bring out the B word. Black people out here in downtown wearing cropped sweatpants and oversized tees at 53 years old, looking, let's be clear, cooler than you've ever looked in your entire life. Let's be real here. We've got dudes with white beards wearing like wide leg sweatpants and an oversized tee and a necklace, and you look like shit compared to them. And all I'm saying is, like, if they're finding their path, maybe there's hope in this world for a white boy after all. I don't know much about women's fashion, Heartraiser. Only some, like, basic aesthetic guideline stuff, but not really women specific. Atlanta is coolish. Atlanta is literally a cultural capital of the world, isn't it? Like, I say isn't it rhetorically here. I know that it is. Atlanta is one of the biggest cultural exporters in the world, like massively so. New York is the everything capital of the world. Well, yeah, okay. I'm not like, no need to compare two bad bitches. Like, yeah, it's Atlanta and New York, sure, but you know. That sounds awesome, genderless. When I see a middle-aged white person wear something like that, it gives me goofy libertarian vibes. Like a wide leg sweatpant and oversized t-shirt? Or did you mean something else? I do think, and you'll have to forgive me for this, I do think that black people maybe get away with more when it comes to being drippy as shit, in part because a lot of modern cultural capital is from black culture, right? So it feels a little bit more like if you see a black guy downtown who's like an older guy and he's wearing clothes that are informed by hip hop culture, it looks cool as hell. But maybe you think you see like a 50-year-old fat white guy and you're like, well, what is he doing? But I think that's pretty unfair, right? Like, it's not like being a 50-year-old white guy doesn't mean you can't sincerely appreciate the music or the culture or whatever. So, I don't know. Look, find what you like and get better at it, you know, and have fun. That's what matters most. Yay! Yay! There we go. Woohoo! I mean, I'm like in 20 years, I'll be the 50-year-old white guy. So like, mark this space, you know, let's see where I end up. Executive editor of The Federalist, Joy Pullman, uses anti-trans slurs on QAnon-linked Rumble show Red Pill 78. Okay, hold on. Is The Federalist really doing so poorly that they have their executive editor going on a show that looks like this with a chat that's moving that slowly called Red Pill 78? Is that really? I don't give a fuck if he said, what, tranny, I'm guessing? Anti-trans slur? Culturally, I'm part of the community, okay? Shut up. The more embarrassing thing to me is this outdated fucking like 2017 era alt-right YouTube. This is like boomer core Nazi aesthetic, you know what I mean? The fucking like what do they call it? Why am I blanking on this? Because it's dated. People don't do this anymore. The vaporwave. Yeah, the alt-right vaporwave. This is so overdone. Like, this is really what the Federalist is on about now? Boring? It's just, I don't know. It's pretty boring. Synthwave is still good. I'm not anti the aesthetic or the music. It's just using it as like a template for the alt-right aesthetic is embarrassing. Vosh, the chat moves slowly because they respect the speakers and pay attention. What the fuck are you Rumble? What are you talking about? The average viewer on Rumble is like 13. Gotta be bait. Yeah, I suppose. How deep in the sauce is he with the T-slur? Oh, yeah, okay, wait. How deep in the sauce?
Trans acts of violence, because unfortunately that's, you know, I mean, it sounds funny, but there are so many of them, trans shooters. I mean, it just seems like every time you hear about it.
Yeah, for those.
It's true. It's like it happened one time, and then since then there have been like 1,000 non-trans shooters. That's so often.
Interested at the Federalist, we have a tranny track. Well, we call it the tranny tracker. Maybe I shouldn't be telling you that.
Okay, yeah. This is boring as hell. This isn't even like Kiwi Farms coded transphobia. This is like, this is ancient shit, man. The future's now, Grandpa. They just say every shooter is trans when they're not. Yeah. It's pretty boring. Were you planning on covering the attack in Lebanon this stream? It's way too funny not to. I say funny kind of like facetiously here, but yeah, hold on. We got a lot to go through. Okay, yeah, apparently Mehdi Hassan blew Jill Stein out of the water. Am I understanding that correctly? The full interview is paywalled, but the preview is bad. I don't intend on stealing content. You know, Mehdi Hassan, I respect the man. If you want to see it, you should see it. Let's take a look at the previews that he's posted, okay? What's going on here?
Every vote that's cast for Kamala Harris or for Donald Trump is an endorsement of genocide.
Holy shit! She remembered to say that Donald Trump is bad too. She often forgets to do that. One might say her entire campaign is forgotten the entire time she's been running. Okay.
It is an affirmation of genocide.
Lay out for me the steps whereby I go into a voting booth, vote green, and the genocide stops.
Let me put
I don't
it
see that
very
happening.
clearly. We are creating a very organized coalition that is here for the long haul.
That's right. They were Democrats that were sending cops to campuses to beat up kids on my campus, okay? Coming in riot gear to remove people from encampments.
Yeah. When people were dying en masse from COVID, when he was praising Nazis, doing domestic terrorism, as Butch says, did you ever at any point say, maybe I got that one wrong?
Oh, no.
You said in November 2015, as Assad and Putin were massacring Syrians in their tens of thousands, quote, the US should be working with Syria, Russia, and Iran to restore all of Syria to control by the government. That's
Again, she's a Russian dude. She's literally like she's a very blatant plant. Yeah, the pro-Syrian, pro-Assad stuff is a really dead giveaway because there is no way on earth, literally no way, anyone involved in politics would be pro-Assadist unless they were like a contrarian Twitter leftist or directly paid by the Russian government. And in many cases, it's the Venn diagram has an overlap.
That was an unapproved statement, which was taken down the moment it was.
You seem to have a lot of things online that you don't approve. Would you tell your supporters at home, vote green everywhere, but in those 3 swing states, vote against a domestic terrorist?
I would say...
This is like a very limited cut. Wait, this is 147. Maybe this has a bit more. Oh, okay, it's in the same thread.
We looked at your social media, and you haven't done that many posts specifically calling out Russian attacks on civilian areas. You haven't called Vladimir Putin a war criminal, but you have called Benjamin Netanyahu a war criminal.
No, actually we did. Yeah. In my very first remarks about the Ukraine war, we condemned...
Vladimir Putin's a war criminal in your view.
Yes, we did
and Bashar al-Assad's a war criminal.
Yes, in so many words. Yes, we have said as much.
Many words?
So
you called Netanyahu one, which I think he is.
Oh, absolutely.
But is Putin a war criminal?
So what we said about Putin was that his invasion of Ukraine...
Notice how quickly she jumped to saying, oh, absolutely, when Netanyahu, a woman she actually thinks is a war criminal, is called a war criminal. But when it comes to Putin, she's like, well, let me qualify this language.
Is criminal. It's a criminal and murderous war.
And he's a war criminal who should be on trial.
Well, by implication.
You're struggling here to say something very simple. This is why people have their doubts about you in Russia.
Netanyahu is shorter than me. All people shorter than me are women. Keep up. I'm wearing a denim jacket right now. I can pull this card.
Well,
why is Benjamin Netanyahu a war criminal but not Vladimir Putin?
Well, as John F. Kennedy said, we must not be afraid to, we must not negotiate out of fear, and we must not fear to negotiate. So if you want to be an effective world leader, you don't start by name calling.
She just called Netanyahu a war criminal. What? I can't call Putin a war criminal because that would be like, you know, just because a person's bad doesn't mean you should start name calling. Oh, Netanyahu? Yeah, totally a war criminal. Yeah.
And hurling
So how will
epithets.
President Stein negotiate with Israel then if you've called Netanyahu a war criminal?
Thank you. Oh man, I just want to say, he is the one guy, literally the single human that I know of, where if I am watching him talk to somebody else and I pause and I say, this is what I would say, he then says it. Like basically every time, you know? He's on his shit, man.
Criminal.
Well, because he very clearly is a war
so Putin
criminal.
clearly isn't a war criminal.
Well, we don't have a decision, put it this way, by the International Criminal Court.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. You idiot! You fucking hey, how many like voting members of the fucking Congress are there? You fucking moron!
for his arrest.
Actually, you're wrong. There's an arrest
and
warrant for Putin. There isn't yet an arrest warrant for Netanyahu. So
Yeah.
why is Putin not a war criminal, but Netanyahu is?
Yeah.
I think they both
let me
are.
say,
You
let me say this. We are sponsoring that war.
Again, like they're calling it the most obvious Russian plant in American history. They're calling it the most transparent psyop. It's insane. I think that Green voters are rivaled by RFK Jr. voters in IQ.
We are sponsoring
That's our
Netanyahu.
war.
He is our dog in this fight. That is why we have a responsibility.
No disagreement
to
from me
pull
at
him
all.
back.
But that
With
does
Russia,
not answer
it's-
my question.
With Russia, it's
Whether we
far more
sponsor them or not
complicated.
is irrelevant. Either you're a war criminal or you're not. Is
Actually,
Vladimir Putin a war
hold on.
criminal?
In so many words, yes, he is.
I don't know what so many words are. Butch, is Vladimir Putin a war criminal?
Let me say that whatever you think he is, if you want to pull
It doesn't
him
matter what I
back,
think.
Oh my fucking god, dude. She's seeing the check floating in the air in front of her, you know? She's seeing it vanish.
I'm asking what you think. You're running for president.
if you
I'm
are
not.
a world leader, you don't begin your conversation by calling someone a war criminal unless
So why
you
have you called
a
Biden
clear,
and Netanyahu war criminals?
Because we have a clear strategy and we
Doesn't
have
make
a
any sense to
very
me.
strong
Butch,
support
is
across the
Bashar
world
al-Assad and Vladimir
community.
Putin war criminals in your view?
Bashar al-Assad, they'll never call Assad a war criminal. No chance at all. Man, these are like crack cocaine to me. I'm never making fun of drug addicts in Appalachia again. My small town of lefty debate streamers out in Appalachia when the Mehdi Hassan epidemic hits.
Fair enough.
I was not going
there's
to.
also-
We're all like collapsed over a wooden barrel in front of the general store, you know?
Well, hold on. Let me pose a question.
Please
I'm going to
do,
bring you
yeah,
in because I've got a question for both of you that's relevant.
Why do they love Assad? Because Assad is an agent of the Russian state. That's it. Assad is like an ally and agent of the Russian state, much the same way that Lukashenko in Belarus is, you know?
To this, which is there is also an experience issue to address here. Obvious
Oh, yes.
experience
Yes.
issue. When Trump
Did you see the Jill Stein Putin photo? Yeah, it's a pretty commonly circulated, which again, like, you really have to wonder what the fuck you have to do. This is after the sanctions. This is 2015. This is after the annexation of Crimea. For Jill Stein to be at a table with some of the most powerful people in, I mean, right across the table from Putin. Like, this is not, under no circumstances would you ever need to be here. And of course, Michael Flynn. But we all know the deal with him, you know. There have been cases on this. She coped on the Breakfast Club about this photo, saying it was so loud she could only talk to the person next to her and hardly noticed Putin was there. Me when I'm across the table from the world leader of a former superpower, holder of the most nuclear weapons on the planet, and a person recently widely sanctioned by the United States government. I mean, I guess he was there. Like, we said hi once. I could hardly say we like Vladimir who? It says it's a photo from 2015. Yeah, 2015, right after the annexation of Crimea and the sanctions. Must have been the wind. Those sanctions, okay? Yeah.
ran for president, a lot
Yeah.
of people, myself included, said he did not have the experience.
Yes.
A reality TV star, a dodgy New York property developer, had no business being anywhere near the Oval Office. And he proved it in office. He was completely incompetent, reckless, put aside the
yes.
ideology.
Oh, yes.
He wasn't just not qualified, he had no history of public service. You, Jill Stein, have only served in one elected role, I believe, on Lexington Town Council, which you won with 539 votes. Butch Ware, I think you mentioned already, you've not run for office before, you've not held any office before. So what makes the two of you qualified to run the world's most powerful country, the world's biggest economy, most advanced military?
Yeah, so let me just jump in.
It's crazy. This is actually one of those questions where Trump has an easier answer. Trump spent his entire life like managing wealth, managing his businesses, being on TV, being a public figure. Trump actually has better answers to this. He could at the very least say he's familiar with the stresses of public attention, of managing many people beneath him. Jill Stein doesn't have any of that. She's a nobody. She exists to pop up every 4 years and like make money grifting and pulling votes from the Democrats. That's it.
I served for 5 years on Lexington Town Meeting, but beyond that, I served in leadership positions enacting campaign finance reform and public financing in the state of Massachusetts, where we passed that as a referendum, had to build a strong coalition, had to, do all the public policy things in order to do that. I helped lead the effort to clean up our coal plants and to push for renewable energy in Massachusetts.
Which are great efforts, but not qualifications to be commander-in-chief of the world's most powerful country.
Oh, that is true. Also, you're a woman. Mehdi Hassan coming out with the most scathing accusation thus far.
We looked at your social media, and you haven't done that many posts specifically calling out Russian attacks on civilian.
Oh, this is ripped from the episode. This isn't posted by Mehdi Hassan. Oh my god, I want to watch it so badly, but I also don't want to like steal content. The Gaza clip. Mehdi brought up her meeting with Putin here. She changed the story and why she didn't confront Putin at the diner. At the dinner. Oh man, I want to watch this so badly, but I don't want to okay, just a little taste. A little okay?
On the RT channel, my remarks. See that
You called out the Russian
excuse
Let her finish.
Yes, I actually did call that out. And
Go ahead.
yes, it is a Clinton hit job. And that video was
Russian propagandists in America hate Clinton. Hold on. First of all, hating Clinton is based. Want to make that clear. But they hate Clinton specifically because she was very correct about everything regarding Russia. You have to give her credit for this one single thing and basically nothing else. She was on every issue that relates to Russian interference and influence in the United States. She was dead on the money every time. Tulsi Gabbard, Jill Stein, like the 2016 election, she was completely correct on all of that. She's been vindicated. It's factually correct. Still a horrible woman, but Hillary Clinton's problem was never that she was stupid. She's not. It's that she's evil and soulless.
Was a posting on social media. The actual purpose of that visit was to address a conference of media from around the world.
Well, it was a Russia Today conference, which is a propaganda channel for Putin. I mean, it was some neutral
yes,
conference.
in the same way that the BBC is a propaganda channel for
the
the UK.
MSNBC is a propaganda channel.
It's not the same way.
We all
MSNBC is a propaganda channel for Team Blue.
That's true, man. Russia Today is propaganda for the Kremlin, just like MSNBC is propaganda. That's so true, man. That's so true. Anything to engage in apologia for the Putin regime.
Yes, but aren't the American people entitled to decide, what propaganda they're going to
I'm
listen
not saying
to?
You shouldn't. I'm not saying you should be banned from that. I'm just wondering why you went.
When our corporate media will not cover us, yes, then we do have to embrace whatever media we can get.
And you didn't feel you should criticize Putin while he was there?
Actually, I did.
To his face?
She did criticize
Yes.
Putin.
What did you say to him?
So he was not at that conference, but he heard it.
He was sitting 3 feet away.
That was not the conference.
I know,
that was a dinner afterwards.
So why not say
There were no translators. There was no
Vladimir
introduction.
Putin speaks English.
He was there for 5.
You really want anyone to believe? Did I still have it here? No, I didn't, because I'm stupid. You want any? I shouldn't watch any more of that because again, like I'm probably going to pay to watch the whole thing because it looks fantastic. You really want to believe that Jill Stein got in on the same table as Vladimir Putin as a do-nothing Green Party candidate who has never won anything in her life outside of the fucking Lexington City Council position. Putin's a pretty low-shot kind of guy. He's pretty relaxed. He's not been known to like constantly surround himself with powerful, influential people. You've got Michael Flynn right next to him. Right? I mean, all these foreign dignitaries. Let's have Jill Stein there. Nothing to take from that. Nothing to say from that. I'm genuinely astonished that he even let her next to him on account of it being bad optics for her in his effort to use her to pull votes in the Democrats, But whatever. Michael Flynn doesn't speak English. That's true. I assume you mean doesn't speak Russian. Notice how the Green Party doesn't run for local elections. I know there are people who gravitate towards the Green Party because they're very susceptible to the populist messaging and they don't think about whether or not it would actually work. And I do feel for those people, but it's like, you cannot allow yourself to be manipulated that easily, man. Like, you are the most easy to manipulate motherfuckers in the world. This is the most obvious grift. And if you'll fall for anyone who just says anything, like, fuck, donate to my stream, you know? We're an independent media outlet that's channeling mainstream narratives, you know? The DNC wouldn't even let me go there. I didn't ask them to, but they probably wouldn't have let me if I asked. They let Hassan because he's sold out to the establishment, okay? Me, they wouldn't let me there because I'm so dangerous to the narrative, okay? If you give me enough money to buy a second Ironheart denim jacket, then maybe we'll be able to challenge these. I know I'm not running for office anywhere, but in fairness, I have the exact same chance of winning the presidential as Jill Stein in this election. So honestly, if you're willing to cast your shot anywhere. The DNC Gigalib Hassan, as we call him. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Working Families Party is making an actual effort to build power from the ground up rather than just grifting every 4 years. For sure. Yeah, 100%. They've been making some strides lately in Philadelphia, and hopefully, you know, something gets built up from that. Also in New York. Also in New York. Mostly hear about the Philadelphia stuff, but what makes Hillary Clinton evil? Please inform. That's a question with like a pretty big answer that would involve a lot of frothing at the mouth, spitting from me. You can probably go find some older videos of mine where I talk about it. Oh yeah, I did see this. This has been a known element. The Green Party is running someone, a very real candidate, by the way, with no fucking picture up, for their excuse me, for their candidacy. Maybe she's invisible. Who's like anti-chemtrails. Chemicals hovering over my vehicle in Michigan. I'm still fighting to end the U.S. military chemical attacks. Okay, yeah, I think she means chemtrails. That's pretty good. Are you saying you're pro chemtrails? It really is. That's like a very easy IQ check, isn't it? That's one of the easier IQ checks, I would say. That one's really far up there. Like 9/11 conspiracism is objectively more rational than believing in chemtrails. What do they think are in the chemtrails? None of them can agree. A common feature of conspiracy theories is that they agree on something being off, but they never agree on what it actually is. It's like mind control formula. What? What the fuck are chemtrails? That's like 90s conspiracism. Well, you know enough about them to know that they're 90s conspiracism. Why are you asking me what they are then? Like how flat earthers believe the earth is flat, but none of them can agree on a map. I mean, being flat earth is ultimately about white supremacy, which is ultimately about sexual insecurity. It all comes back to one thing. You're not going to find many people who believe in a flat earth or chemtrails who aren't also sexually insecure. It all comes back to that. Ain't it just plain exhaust? It's just water vapor. Are chemtrails real? No. At least not beyond the belief that water is a chemical. It might be like crystallized. Well, crystallized water is ice. I guess there could be ice in there. How is flat earth tied to white supremacy? Great question. The best video on this, if you have 2 hours to spare, and you do because you're watching me right now, is In Search of a Flat Earth by the excellent channel Folding Ideas. The gist of it essentially is that you barely hear about flat earth these days because they all became QAnoners. The reason for that is because the flat earth conspiracy theory was ultimately about Christian nationalism. It was about the belief that, cosmology as we understand it is incorrect. It's about like Christian domination of the world, the idea that humans are special. Why do you believe humans are special? Well, they're special under God. Why are you so insistent that God is real in the way you want him to be? Because it brings order to a world in which you feel like shiftless and insecure in your place in things, and it always comes back to white supremacy. Like always, 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 always. Or at the very least, it's concurrent. But ultimately, yeah, it's about fearful people. Conspiracy theorists tend to be very fearful people. That's not just conjecture. There have been studies. The brains, they have more active fear regions. Everything is a sign of something. Nobody believes something crazy for no reason. That doesn't happen. No one has a crank belief that is completely isolated and has no attachments at all to like other political beliefs, emotional beliefs, insecurities, whatever. I do? Yeah, people think they do. No one actually does. There's no such thing as a floating idea in your head. Everything connects to everything, you know? It's all just a bunch of webbing up here. Every idea that you have is linked to something else. It all influences something else. There's no easy cut through. Yes, rotate the idea in your mind. You can't. It's connected via tethers. What about folding ideas? Well, I suppose as long as you folded it in a way that didn't pull it from the attachment points to other ideas, you can make it happen. My mind has severed the tethers. You are unburdened, truly. So it's all Inception. Watch the damn video. I can never explain an idea better than Dan Olson can in a scripted and, neatly compacted video. Limit a live streaming. Folding Ideas is Dan Olson. Didn't I say that? Did I say a different Dan? You just said Dan Olson. Yeah, that's what I'm referring to. Dan Olson is a legend for single-handedly ending NFTs. Has anyone here seen his video on the Angry Video Game Nerd that's ultimately like an anxious and self-conscious exploration of his insecurities as a filmmaker who makes YouTube videos? I know that it never works this way, but do you ever want to take an egghead like that and shake it really hard and say you're making YouTube videos that are better than like 98% of movies? You are hampering yourself because you were locked in to the belief that there is something innately like less worthwhile about this form of creation. Like you have internalized an insecure and irrational belief, and it's like allowing you to hurt yourself. Like the difference between you and the Angry Video Game Nerd is that it seems like he's unintrospective and was uninterested in growing beyond a certain format, and you like continue to evolve your practice with every video you make. You want to just like wake up, but it never actually works that way. Are you on good terms with Dan Olson? God, no, he probably hates me, but it doesn't stop me from liking him. He's an incredibly talented guy. I just want him to wake up. You captured my feelings when watching that video. Yeah, it's one of the things, like, I guess there are lots of things that other people do much better than me in this space because I'm just a person, right? Like there are so many talented people like Dan Olson. I've been talking a lot about NL lately, and he's got the gift of gab in a very admirable way. But one thing that I feel like I've got that a lot of other people don't have, and it's something that makes me kind of sad, is sometimes I feel like these motherfuckers need to be a little bit more confident in themselves. You got to be a little bit more confident in yourself, you know? I don't know. I feel like I have a pretty good outlet for creative expression here, and I'm very lucky to have this job. I'm very lucky. I will never, ever, ever suggest otherwise, except as a joke. And I do joke, but I am very lucky to have this. And I don't know. I feel like, and I'm projecting here, but I feel like if I had the mind of Dan Olson, and it's a big mind, and I just made another video, I would just like fold my arms, sit on the couch, and jerk myself off with my mind, with like my mental powers from my huge IQ. And I would just feel great. I'd just be like, yep, that's right. I made that. That was all my brain. I'm pretty smart. You know, and then I would just like exist in that state until I got bored and decided to make another video. Well, frankly, I want him to do that because he deserves it. But, yeah, you know. You get me, don't you? I mean, yeah, that description was insane, but sure. He makes really good video. Dude, after the NFT video, I feel like I would commission a fucking golden crown to wear every morning in the shower. You get if I made a video like that, are you fucking kidding me? Like, okay, yeah, just call me that guy. I'm him. They forgot that I was him. Oh wait, they didn't. I just respect the guy a lot. I don't know. I want people who I respect to be very confident in what they do, but I know they can't be, because the reason people often get good at what they do is because of ruthless self-criticism. Like that is a feature of talent, the inability to be satisfied with what you do. You get better and better and better and better, and then one day you die, and you were never satisfied with what you do, and then everyone else is like, holy shit, that guy was goated the whole fucking time, you know? Everyone on the outside is like, oh my god, that guy was him the whole time, but he never knew it. And I just want people to be happy is all I'm saying. Like Van Gogh. I mean, like a lot of artists. God damn it, is that how it ends? Death? Yeah, for everyone, you know, but that's okay. Exactly, Annie, and it's so true. It's so true. It's one of the reasons I'm happy I'm a live streamer, because I don't even have the ability to relentlessly edit everything that I do. I just say it and it's out there, you know? It frees me of a lot of like needless fastidious nitpicking that I might otherwise be locked into, you know? Also, his video on The Wall, Pink Floyd's The Wall. Whew. Bro, poor Doug Walker Lamau. Listen, he got some time in Smiling Friends, okay? He's doing fine. His video, This is Financial Advice, is also a banger. I love how he respects, in a lot of ways, the way he writes his videos reminds me of what I liked about ContraPoints back when ContraPoints made videos, which is that they both respect your time. You know, when you sit down to watch the video, yeah, because there are some video essays where a person will make a point and then they'll say, yeah, the point, yeah, that's why the point is, yeah, this point, yeah, that's what I mean about the point. And what I liked about both of their videos is they will just run through it, and they have so much to say, and they respect you enough to like peel it apart, you know, to get the depth yourself. Contra is great. I wish she was real. Yeah. Oh, for sure, funny rhetorician. Yeah, he's very, very good with it. Did this change with Contra? Well, she doesn't make videos anymore. Well, she does. I'm being facetious, but, you know, she doesn't make videos very often. She makes content on Patreon, but I don't watch it. I feel like me subscribing to her Patreon would be interpreted as a threat or like an implicit suggestion that I was going to start watching it on stream to make fun of it. An insane belief some people have about me, but, you know. The videos she does make are bangers, though. Oh, yeah, for sure. Okay, what am I on about? Okay, apparently Kamala Harris is getting cooked in an interview. That's interesting. We're going to want to watch this because Kamala Harris doesn't often do interviews. Kamala getting cooked is bad. Well, I mean, you could just make an alt. I don't like resorting to sneaky tactics like that, and I'm not, like, ashamed of my existence as a person. You know, I'm not going to skulk around or whatever. Like, oh, I want to watch content, you know, creator live streams because I like the content, but I got to be sneaky. Ah, this is stupid bullshit. I'm not nearly as self-conscious as a lot of the other people in this space. They could stand to benefit from that. These motherfuckers need some self-esteem.
Into law, understand what is happening in our country. Over 20 states have passed what I call Trump abortion bans because I understand.
Started streaming 38 minutes ago. Okay, I guess.
Madam Vice President, thank you so much for doing this and making the time.
Of course.
Just a little bit busy right now. We want to start on an issue that Americans across the country say is the #1 concern, and that's the economy.
Is this like super quiet?
That has been asked of you and everybody that's on the Democratic side is whether or not voters are better off now than they were 4 years ago. Are they better off now than they were 4 years ago?
So when we came into, well, first of all, let me just say it is good to be with the National Association of Black Journalists, and I thank you for the work you do and that your members do every day.
Well,
it is very important that we ensure that this organization and your members always have the resources and the platforms to deliver the voices that must be heard. So I thank you for hosting me today. 4 years ago, when we came in during the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. We came in during the worst public health
Holy shit, a World of Warcraft
in
sponsorship
centuries.
offer.
We came in after the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. And a lot of it due in large part to the mismanagement by the former president as it relates to COVID and obviously January 6th. And we had then a lot of work to do to clean up a mess. As of today, we have created over 16 million new jobs, over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs. We have.
I really wish that you could break with the standard, like, like the messaging needs to change a little bit here, because I feel like 4 years ago, we had 5,000 people dying a day or whatever. Everything was shut down. Are you kidding me? Are things better now than they were 4 years ago? When we inherited the White House from Donald Trump's administration, they didn't even have a vaccine rollout plan. We would have been stuck in that state for years if he had kept being the president. Like, this intonation, this delivery is so tired that it makes you not even pay attention to the
lowest black unemployment rate in generations. We have invested in small businesses, and they're to the benefit of many people, but including black small businesses, some of the highest rate of creation of new black small businesses in years. We have done the work of capping the cost of prescription medication for our seniors for issues like insulin. And again, I'm speaking to the black journalists who care about all people, but in particular, I'll talk about the impact on black people, where we know black folks are 60% more likely to be diagnosed with diabetes. And we have now finally capped the cost of insulin for our seniors at $35 a month, capped the cost of prescription medication for our seniors at $2,000 a year, because I
got a reminder of that when I went to Portland over the weekend. I got breakfast 2 days in a row, at this phenomenal Southern food place in downtown Portland, and it was like people who live in the South have a 60% greater likelihood of getting diabetes. Wow, how did that happen? Holy! I'm having like pecan candied bacon, and we ask for some fresh orange juice, and the orange juice has a higher sugar percentage content than Coca-Cola. God damn, it's delicious. It's fucking amazing, dude. Listen, you're like a candle burning at both ends. Your life is short, but it is sweet.
Unlike the former president who promised to do it, we finally have allowed Medicare to negotiate drug prices against the big pharmaceutical companies. And these are just some of the accomplishments. Is the price of groceries still too high? Yes. Do we have more work to do? Yes. And I will tell you, I do believe that I offer a new generation of leadership for our country that is about, in particular, turning the page on an era that sadly has shown us attempts by some to incite fear, to create division in our country, and to do the work that is about bringing some level of optimism and, dare I say, ambition about what I know is possible in our country. And so my plan for the economy includes what I imagine and believe and call an opportunity economy. What we can do to grow an opportunity economy where all people have access to the resources to compete, to apply their incredible work ethic, their ambition, their aspirations, and their dreams, and actually not just get by, but get ahead. And I can talk in more detail about it, but specifically, I'll mention a few things.
Yeah.
One of the big issues that affects people right now in terms of the economy and their economic well-being is we have a shortage of housing supply.
This is a huge detriment to her. It's a huge detriment to liberal speakers in general. It keeps being an issue over and over and over again. It keeps being a problem. You have to speak more authentically than this. I'm not saying she's lying necessarily. I'm just saying it's obvious that you're reading from a mental script. This is one of the things that people like about Donald Trump. Everyone who isn't reflexively anti-Donald Trump likes this about Donald Trump. The fact that it seems like he's just saying stuff that comes off the top of the dome. You have to temper that, but it's just a basic public speaking thing. I feel like we've gotten worse about this, you know? I know that I've only really been alive for so and so long, but I've listened to like off-the-cuff TV interviews and speeches from Reagan, JFK, some of the fireside chats, right? I feel like there used to be a more conversational tone that we just don't, I don't know.
It's too expensive. People can't afford to buy a home. You know, we grew up, our parents, where they had the ability to somehow believe the American dream was attainable. Not so much for younger working people. And I recognize that. So my approach is a new approach, which is to say, let's just take this and deal with it head on. And part of my approach is to say, I'm going to employ and engage the private sector, in particular home builders with tax credits, to give them the incentive to create new housing, 3 million by the end of my first term, and understanding that not everybody is, handed a silver spoon.
Is this interview really that bad? We're like 5 minutes in, so no, it's mostly just been her talking. But I feel like the problem is, like, I think some of the things that she's saying are correct. So I want her to say them convincingly. I want her to say them with energy. That's it. Maybe it gets worse. We're only 5 minutes in.
Works hard and is trying to save up for a down payment. Part of my plan under my opportunity economy is to give first-time home buyers a $25,000 down payment assistance so they can just get their foot in the door to be able to then engage in what will prove to be their opportunity to build intergenerational wealth. And here's my personal experience coming at that. I grew up a middle-class kid. My mother was hardworking. She raised me and my sister Maya. She saved up. And it was only by the time I was a teenager that she could afford to actually buy her first home. And I know, and I identify with, I know where I come from.
Madam Vice President.
And I know, but I'm just going to finish. I know that so many people work so hard and should have the
Because when she says stuff like this, she's doing this heartfelt, like, I hear your concerns, average American citizen. There's a dissonance where it comes across even more inauthentic, because, like, reading from a script when you're doing policy wonkery is one thing. Reading from a script when you're talking about how, like, the heart and soul of America is finally being heard and the voice of the downtrodden are being, like, lended an ear from those in power, like, it comes across more inauthentic.
Opportunity to just get their foot in the door. Again, so it's not just about getting by, but getting ahead. Please.
I'd like to ask you more about the opportunity economy. Housing is a part of it, as well as expanding the earned income tax credit, financial support, as you mentioned, for first-time buyers, and a $50,000 tax deduction for startups and small businesses. But I want to talk to you about the squeeze that millions of Americans are also dealing with that impacts their ability to work and make money, and that is childcare and elder care. And it's a squeeze for millions of people. In some parts of the country, it costs more for childcare than for rents. I think Bloomberg recently reported an average of $33,000 a year. So I'm just wondering, you mentioned that in your opportunity economy, a child tax credit, but that's just one part of an ecosystem. Please tell us, what plans will you propose to guarantee that families can actually afford childcare and elder care?
You know what would be an almost guaranteed victory for a future presidential candidate? Folding daycare into our current system of guaranteed education, kindergarten and up, preschool and daycare. If we were like, yeah, you know, we think actually every American, because let's be real here, okay? You need daycare unless you're wealthy enough that you can have one half of your parental unit stay at home all the time. Like everyone that I am not a parent. I don't pretend to know what parents go through. I see it from a distance and it looks ruinously difficult in many cases. I have seen like upper middle class families get crippled economically because, like, if you're upper middle class, you probably live in a city, and if you live in a city, good luck finding daycare, motherfucker. There are like 6 daycares within a mile of you, you know, 12 within 2, whatever, and they're insanely expensive, and you have like wait lists and application forms, and it's like, I don't know, man. It seems bad. Seems kind of gay.
So to your point, it is sadly the state of affairs in our country that working people often have to decide to either be able to work or be able to afford childcare. Like they can't afford childcare and actually do the work that they want to do because it's too expensive and it doesn't actually level out in terms of the expense versus the income. My plan is that no working family should pay more than 7% of their income in childcare. Because I know that when you talk about the return on that investment, allowing people to work, allowing people to pursue their dreams in terms of how they want to work, where they want to work, benefits us all. It strengthens the entire economy. We saw, for example,
daycare is $250 a week here in Missouri. $250, $1,000 a month in Missouri. What are the standards for daycare over there? No hate to Missouri or whatever, but like, you need somebody who's not a sex offender supervising like a petting zoo style like pig pen where you dump 30 babies in there and have like a bunch of chopped carrots in a bucket in the corner. Like what standard are we talking about for Missouri here? $1,000 a month?
During the pandemic, what happened? And it sadly has dissipated as a conversation that we need to resuscitate, which is the number of women that had to leave the workforce because of the lack of childcare and home health care. And so many of our families, and in particular women, end up carrying the responsibility. Men do too, of course. What we call people who are in the sandwich generation.
Exactly.
Who have young children and are also taking care of their parents. And it is just absolutely too expensive for them to be able to work and do that. So my plan is not only about 7% of income for working people for childcare, but also we need to do better for our childcare providers and our home health care providers in terms of ensuring that they receive the wages that they deserve based on the dignity of their work. I have spent time with home health care providers. And their work is some of the most taxing work you can imagine. And I actually, when my mother was sick with cancer, did a lot in terms of taking care of her. And the work that is about taking care of a loved one, in particular an elder, is...
I don't know, you'd have to pay me significantly more than $1K per month to watch one kid, let alone a whole gaggle of them. Yeah, but if there's like 20 kids, that's $20,000 a month. Daycares, I don't know what the economics of daycares are like, you know? But like, what are the requirements even? You don't need to have a teaching degree to run a daycare. You're not teaching the kids anything. You're just making sure they don't swallow paper clips. I'm not saying it's easy work. I'm sure it's very difficult, but it definitely is. You need to be CPR certified? Okay, well, yeah, sure. But like I'm saying, you don't need a master's degree or anything. I feel like we could do more here.
Extraordinarily heavy in terms of the emotional toll, the time it takes, and we do it because that is what we do, but not everyone has the ability to take time from work to do it, and they need help, and we need to make sure we have home health care workers that can help them. But I want to also get back to the earlier point that you made about extending the child tax credit. So part of my new approach is we need to expand the child tax credit. And so part of my plan that is under an opportunity economy is to extend and expand the child tax credit to $6,000 so that young families in particular...
Again, the problem with doing this from the demand side economically is that this doesn't do anything to stop daycares from gouging prices. We always do this with everything like healthcare and public service related, you know? Oh, we want to help out working class families, or sorry, middle class families. Well, you know, just like provide a stipend or a tax break or something, whatever, anything. It's like, well, no, that doesn't solve the fundamental problem, which is that it's too expensive. That's why you always hear this little rhetorical shift where something that's too expensive, now all the politicians are talking about how it's not affordable enough. Different problem! I don't want health or daycare or healthcare or whatever to be more affordable in that, you know, the company charges $100,000 and the government covers $90,000 with taxpayer money, thus making the program bloated and inefficient and guaranteed to be cut down in the future. I want to just reduce the amount they're charging.
The first year of their child's life, which is an extraordinarily important time in their development, have the resources to be able to buy a crib, buy a car seat, buy children's clothing, and not have to worry about whether they're going to be able to meet their other needs. And I don't need to remind anybody here, especially these esteemed journalists, but when we expanded the child tax credit a couple years ago, we reduced black child poverty by half. And so again, if you talk about the benefit and if you think about the benefit to the economy overall, it strengthens our economy to do things like pay attention to affordable child care, affordable home health care, and extending the child tax credit.
Madam Vice President, Black men, as you know, are a closely watched voting bloc. You've hosted Black men at your residence. Yep. You have engaged Black men and censored them in your economic opportunity tour. Mm-hmm. But polling shows...
Censored? Wait, did I mishear?
Voting bloc. You've hosted Black men at your residence. Yep. You have engaged Black men and censored them in your
Centered. Okay, centered. Okay. Yeah, censored wouldn't have made any sense there. That makes sense, Annie. I'm in favor of like requirements. I'm just saying, man.
Economic opportunity tour. Mm-hmm. But polling shows that some Black men, particularly young Black men, are considering voting for Donald Trump, and they see him as better for the economy. What is your message to young Black male voters who feel left out of this economy, and how can...
I thought he said dumb Black male voters, which in fairness, you would have to be so fucking stupid right now to be a Black guy and consider voting for Trump. Do you see what they're doing to Black men right now? Literally at this moment, like currently, not even in a broad abstract sense. Do you see what is happening? You fucking idiot. It's all misogyny and like grind set, I'm different from the other guys in the hood bullshit. It's literally that. It's misogyny and it's survivorship bias. Those are the only explanations. And I think misogyny is probably the stronger of the two, given how close the relationship between sexual insecurity and, you know, Yeah, it's all like fresh and fit stuff. But that's a Nazi pod, man. You've got to be pretty far right to be going for that as a black guy.
Your economic policies materially change their lives.
So
they don't see Haitian as the same kind of black IMO. I promise you, Republican voters don't see a difference.
I appreciate the spirit of the question, but I'll tell you, I've often been asked this question in a way that I've had to respond by first saying that I think it's very important to not operate from the assumption that black men are in anybody's pocket. Black men are like any other voting group. You got to earn their vote. So I'm working to earn the vote, not assuming I'm going to have it because I am black, but because the policies and the perspectives I have understands what we must do to recognize the needs of all communities. And I intend to be a president for all people. Specifically as it relates to what we need to do, to your point around economic opportunity, yes, I started way before I was at the top of the ticket at what I called an economic opportunity tour, focused on black men. Understanding that, for example, we have so many entrepreneurs in the community who do not have access to capital, but they've got great ideas, an incredible work ethic, the ambition, the aspiration, the dream, but don't have the relationships necessarily. So
what do you think Dems should do to bring back a lot of young men, not just black, from the economic party? I'm really sorry, but it is overwhelmingly a like gender dynamic thing. And a lot of it just comes down to people are lonely and insecure. And then they go at 14 years old, they find hate groups online who convince them that the Jews are ruining their chance at a high school sweetheart because they're importing Giga Chad Mexican MS-13 alpha males who are infiltrating the high schools or so. I don't know. It's insane. It's all fucking psycho. Yeah, the goddamn Jews telling women that men have to wash their ass, you know. Women used to be unruined by feminism, and now they think you should wash your butthole after you poop. Ridiculous. I don't know what the Democrats could really do from a policy level on this, to be honest with you. It's pretty tough. Vosh, I'm starting to support the all men should start in prison, work their way out feminism. I mean, men do a lot to earn derision. I'll say that much. Maybe just don't give them phones till they're like 30. I don't know. It's pretty rough. Look, I'll say this much, okay? Because we're talking about black people in the context of Kamala Harris's interview. Black women complain about black men complain about black women. The difference is black women will complain about black men and then go on to vote Democrat and be generally good liberal people, and black men will complain about black women and then watch neo-Nazi podcasts that are racist towards them but put up with it because at least they hate women too. There is a huge difference in like the political, from a consequentialist perspective, there is a massive difference between like the directions that this like gender war pulls people in. You know, there are man-hating women out there, and that's bad, but like they're not out there Sieg Heiling in front of swastikas they drape over highway overpasses. That's just how it is. It's nothing innate. It's just men are the ones that are being targeted by all this Nazi shit.
My work has included, as vice president, getting billions more dollars into community banks, including working with the big banks to do that, so that we can increase access to capital for our small businesses, for our startups. Part of my plan under my economic opportunity plan going forward is that right now, startup entrepreneurs, small businesses only get a tax deduction of $5,000. Nobody can start a small business with $5,000. So I'm expanding that to $50,000. Understanding, again, that when people have the opportunity to have the resources to get started, they're going to put the good ideas, they're going to put the hard work into it. And part of what I also know is that our young black men, our black men, just like any group of people, anybody, our small businesses are really the backbone of our economy overall. And when they do better economically, we all do better. Part of my work is about understanding what we need to do in dealing with, for example, the historic inequities that have faced the black community around home ownership, right? I don't have to go through the history with anybody here about what that has meant in terms of redlining, what that has meant in terms of biases and home appraisals, and what the impact it has had on stemming the opportunity to build intergenerational wealth.
Man, she's so boring on the economy. Yeah, because the average American doesn't give a shit about stuff like tax break for business startups. Are you fucking kidding me? The average person is like barely afloat right now.
Because of those obstacles. So part of the work that I have done and will continue to do is identify, speak truth about those obstacles, and address them. Another example is medical debt. 1 in 4 Black families or individuals is more likely to carry medical debt than others. So part of my perspective, and as vice president, part of the work that we have done is to say that we're going to eliminate medical debt from being on your credit score. Because until now, medical debt worked against your credit score, and people know their credit score like your weight, right? You know that number. And the difference between what that number is and what it needs to be is the difference between you being able to get a car loan, a small business loan, or even a leasing on an apartment. And so part of my
What was the question? This is not a very conversational interview, I have to say. It's very much like, would you like to take 10 minutes to repeat some of your stump speech talking points?
Is understanding the obstacles that traditionally and currently exist to allow anyone, including Black men, be able to achieve economic wealth. And I'm going to tell you, I don't think it is sufficient to just only talk about economic policy around reducing unemployment. It is an important marker, and I'm proud of the work that we've done thus far. But it should be a baseline there. Everybody's working. The point is, do people have an opportunity to build wealth? If that's what they choose to do, if that's what they want to do. And a lot of my perspective as we go forward is just that. I believe that there are a lot of opportunities that are available to the American people.
Like, one of the things that bothers me as well about opportunity economy as a concept is that, for one, I don't think you should have the opportunity to prosper. I think you should just prosper. And I also don't think that prospering should be a product of some unique spark or intelligence or go-getter moment on your part. I think you should just serve a function to the community and be rewarded for it. That's it. Like, an opportunity economy, like, oh, do you want to be an apprentice to the one blacksmith in your village? No, you just do it. Like, if you're there, you do it. If you can do it, you do it. It's not, you don't have to hustle. You don't have to grind set. Just work. That's it. Just work the damn job. Everything has to be like a fucking competition with these people. Oh, yeah, we're not going to ensure everyone gets like this baseline standard of life. We're just going to ensure that everyone has a marginally equal ability to participate in the slot machine that is whether or not your small business takes off. Yeah, 90% of restaurants fail in the first 3 years, but, whatever. Let's pretend that starting up a small business is some kind of yeah. So what do you mean start up a small business? Who's doing that? Where is that happening? People shop at Target. What's your business?
If we see people and understand
Taylor?
what they want for themselves and their families, and then meet them where they are.
Madam Vice President, I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about the war in Gaza. Mm-hmm. You've called for a ceasefire hostage deal and a two-state solution as an end to the war for many months now. And while you've expressed support for Israel to defend itself, a two-state solution and a ceasefire are at odds with what Benjamin Netanyahu has said is their right to defense. If it matters, as you say, how Israel defends itself, where do you see the line between aggression and defense? And our power as Israel's ally to do something?
Okay, a lot to unpack in what you just said. So let's start with this.
We're not getting a direct answer because it is the official position of the Biden administration to pretend that Netanyahu is not obviously the one who's stonewalling all of these attempts at peace. Even though Netanyahu has screamed from the top of his lungs for nearly a year now that he will never, ever, ever accept any of the things that Biden is pushing for, and he has like stopped every deal from going through. You know, they have to pretend that it's actually just, oh, we haven't worked on a solution that works yet.
Absolutely believe that this war has to end, and it has to end as soon as possible. And the way that will be achieved is by getting a hostage deal and a ceasefire deal done. And we are...
Who's blocking the deals, Kamala? Hey, you've been on this for like over half a year. Why hasn't it happened yet? Whatever. Let the editors cut this part out. I have to take a quick piss. Wow.
Working around the clock to achieve that end. Stepping back, October 7, 1,200 Israelis were slaughtered, but actually and some Americans, by the way.
Well, I'm just hearing about this.
In that number, slaughtered. Young people who were attending a concert, women were horribly raped. And yes, so I have said, Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And,
but Madam Vice President, I think my ask is the difference between aggression and defense.
No, but it's important to put it in context.
Almost half of the economic activity in the U.S. is with small businesses. Scheherazade, and the definition of small business that you're using is one with 500 employees or fewer. So, sure. But that's not a small startup. At least not without a lot of VC investment. If we're talking about a business small enough that a $50,000 tax break would be even close to a deciding factor, we're talking about like a small mom and pop startup. We're talking about like just enough money to get the lease for a year or two in the like Old Town district, and get your like your opening, you know, stock like stuff in your business, not stock like shares, you know. Vosh, it would help my wife and I with her photography startup. I'm not anti the idea of you're not taking me for this. You all know what my positions are, you rapscallions.
Which is what I'm doing, and I'll get to that. And so how it does so matters. And far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. Women and children. We have seen with horror the images coming out of Gaza. And we have to take that seriously.
Notice how she never mentions IDF rapes? Oh, you mean like the mass rape of Palestinian civilians in the rape camps where they've incarcerated people without committing crimes and then mass raped them, and it got caught on video, and then there was the IDF soldiers were arrested, and then a bunch of Israeli civilians attacked the army base to free the people who were arrested for mass raping, and then there was that that rabbi who was like blessing the rapists, and they got invited on talk shows to like defend themselves, and they're like a beloved hero to half the Israeli population for raping Palestinians, not even for any other thing they did, but specifically for raping them. That country? No, I don't think Kamala Harris is going to talk about that. Oh, yeah, those rapes. Gotcha.
And we have to agree that not only must we end this war, but we have to have a goal of a two-state solution, because there must be stability and peace in that region, in as much as what we do in our goal is to ensure that Israelis have security and Palestinians in equal measure have security, have self-determination and dignity.
A question for you on that, though. What levers does the U.S. have to support Palestinians in their right to self-determination? And is it even possible as Israel's ally?
Well, absolutely. I will tell you, I have been actively involved in, for example, meeting not only with Israeli officials, but with Arab officials to talk about how we can construct a day after scenario where we participate in ensuring those exact goals that I outlined, including, as part of the principles that should be applied to those goals, that there be no reoccupation of Gaza, that there be no changing of the territorial lines in Gaza, that there be an ability to have security in the region for all concerned, in a way that we create stability, and let us also recognize in a way that ensures that Iran is not empowered in this whole scenario in terms of the peace and stability of the region. But
a better line for her to take on Israel is saying she would enforce existing laws like the Lehi law, which forbids weapon sales being used against civilians. Yeah, but she can't do that because she won't do that. That's the problem, right? Like, she could say that, but then she can't say that because she won't. You know? She can't because she can't on that one. Like, she should. She's just stuck to Biden. Well, to be clear, it's not just Biden's fault. You know, she's not exactly a militant advocate for Palestinian rights either.
Absolutely. The United States of America absolutely has a role, which is why we have been active, in particular with the Qataris and the Egyptians, around attempting to get a deal done and get it done as quickly as possible.
But Madam Vice President, just to follow up really quickly, is there a specific policy change that you, as President of the United States, would say you would do that would help this along? Because you've gotten a lot of credit for emphasizing the humanity of Palestinians. But what I often hear from folks is that there's no policy change that either you or President Biden have gone and said they would do. Is there a specific policy change as president that you would do in our helping of Israel?
We need to get this deal done, and we need to get
nothing. So nothing. No. So the same like nothing language that's been employed for the past 8 months that has led to nothing. Gotcha. That's not a policy change.
It done immediately, and that is my position, and that is my policy. We need to get this deal done.
But in the way that we send weapons, in the way that we interact as their ally, are there specific policy changes?
Well, Eugene, for example, one of the things that we have done that I am entirely supportive of is the pause that we've put on the 2,000-pound bombs. And so there is some leverage that we have had and used. But ultimately...
Do you mean the one time that you held back that one specific type of weapon that ended up getting overridden anyway? They stopped the pause. You did nothing with that. She has the concept of a plan to stop Israel from killing civilians en masse.
Unlock everything else in that region is getting this deal done. And I'm not going to disclose private conversations, but I will tell you, I've had direct conversations with the Prime Minister, with the President of Israel, with Egyptian leaders, and with our allies. And I think we've made ourselves very clear this deal needs to get done in the best interest of everyone in the region, including getting those hostages out who, I mean, we saw the latest example of what happened with the 6 most recently, one of whom was an American citizen.
But what do you say to those that say that's not enough?
Wait, I'm sorry. Is she referring to the hostage who was an American citizen who was killed by the Israeli airstrikes, or am I thinking of a different hostage? Is she referring to the one who Israel killed? It's kind of hard to say because Israel's killed a lot of the hostages. I mean, who knows? You know, who knows?
Stopping the 2,000-pound bomb the one time wasn't enough, that this administration, your possible administration, has to do more.
Well, we are doing the work of putting the pressure on all parties involved to get the deal done.
So nothing.
But let me be very clear also. I support Israel's ability to defend itself.
Well, we're putting so much pressure on that even after offering nothing with regards to specific ways of putting pressure, we still have to reassure everyone listening that we're not, you know, like opposed to them defending themselves, as evidenced by the bajillion dollars we've given them in weapons. You know, we're very committed to pressuring them to stop, but not like, you know, not in like a pressury kind of way.
And I support the need for Palestinians.
I think she's referring to the ones Hamas killed because they were about to be rescued. Okay, I don't know. I mean, Israel's killed some hostages. Hamas killed some hostages. Israel's responsible for the entire dynamic that led to the October 7th attack anyway, because it was, you know, preceded by 80 years of systematic oppression of the Palestinian people, the deliberate cultivation and fomenting of a militant Islamic resistance movement that Netanyahu was fully aware of the fact that he could use as a, like, opposite point to justify his increased power and fear-mongering of Palestinian people. So, you know, it gets hard to keep track of.
To have dignity, self-determination, and security as we move forward and get a two-state deal done. But right now, the thing we need to get done is this hostage deal and the ceasefire deal.
We're almost there.
We need a ceasefire. We need the hostage
almost there,
deal.
guys.
I want to switch gears to racial justice, Madam Vice President. Last month, you eulogized Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee.
Yeah.
Jackson Lee's signature bill, one of a few, was H.R. 40, which would create a commission to study the history of U.S. slavery.
$50,000 tax break to any Palestinians who start a small business in the Gaza Strip. That's true. That could help them rebuild. You know, we need the Pell Grant. Like if you've run a small business that's operated for 18 months in an underprivileged area, then you get to receive that could do a lot for them. You know, that could do a lot for them. Yeah, I remember. This was the one that I thought was being referred to. IDF confirms it mistakenly killed 3 hostages in Gaza City bombing. I remember that. But I guess it was different people.
And study the issue of reparations. She introduced H.R. 40 every session of Congress, taking up the mantle from Congressman John Conyers. This is a bill that you have co-sponsored as a U.S. Senator. Yet, this has, despite the fact that this has been, similar commissions have been created on the state level and on the local level, is yet to pass in Congress, let alone come out of committee. Congresswoman Jackson Lee, Congresswoman Barbara Lee, and other advocates have called for President Biden to take executive action to create this commission. Would you, as president, take executive action to create this commission, or do you believe that it should happen in Congress?
Well, first of all, as you mentioned, Sheila Jackson Lee, she was an extraordinary leader who we just recently lost, and she was a friend and a real champion for so many issues. So I feel compelled to say that about her. On the issue of what we need to do going forward, look, first of all, we just need to speak truth about history, in spite of the fact that some people would try and erase history and try and teach our children otherwise. We need to speak truth about the generational impact of our history, in terms of the generational impact of slavery, the generational impact of redlining, of Jim Crow law. I could go on and on and on. These are facts that have had impact. And we need to speak truth about it. And we need to speak truth about it in a way that is about deriving solutions. And frankly, I think that we, you know, and part of that is studying it to figure out exactly what we need to do. But part of what we can do right now is, for example, what I'm talking about in terms of building an opportunity economy, which is addressing explicitly the obstacles.
I don't understand what the bill is. It's reparations, basically. Why does it feel like the DNC sandblasts every identifiable part of a candidate away during the general? Yeah, that's their strategy. During the general, Trump gets even more Trump and Kamala gets less Kamala. It's great. Reparations are very unpopular. I don't expect any presidential candidate to support them. They're not even that popular among Black Americans. It would just be really, really nice if we could get some populist economic revitalization a la Bernie Sanders that's not race targeted, because that would be very divisive, but instead you get some like New Deal type shit that achieves a lot of the same outcomes.
Historically and currently exist, and dealing with them student loan debt, medical debt, bias in home appraisals, what we need to do in terms of dealing with an issue that I have championed for years, black maternal mortality, which is the fact that black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die in connection with childbirth than other women. And we know that the reasons for that include disparities that pre-exist her pregnancy, including disparities that exist in the system during her pregnancy. So all of those things must be addressed.
But do you have a position on whether that should happen, this commission should happen through executive order or via Congress?
I think Congress ultimately will have the ability to do this work. I'm not discounting the importance of any executive action, but ultimately Congress. Because if you're going to talk about it in any substantial way, there will be hearings, there will be a level of public education and dialogue that, and I think that was part of the spirit behind the congressional action thus far, to ensure that everyone can participate in this conversation in a way that elevates knowledge.
Also, this right here, this shit loses me like in a nanosecond. Any conversation about getting something through Congress that doesn't open bridge and end with, yeah, Republicans hate you and want you to die, so we're going to have to work through them somehow, is not only dishonest, but not like it doesn't acknowledge the fundamental issue here, right? Republicans will vote no to literally everything good because they hate you. Their politics are not nuanced or subtle. They're just evil. They will never allow a Democratic president to get a win, no matter how obviously necessary it is, no matter how much it benefits their base. Like, we have literally, for the past four years, seen a nonstop cavalcade of Republican governors and legislators who have, like, publicly opposed the infrastructure bill and then taken credit for the local bridges that have gotten built, the road work that's gotten done because of that bill. You know, they are shameless and evil. There's no two ways about it.
About history and the reference points that have that are the impetus of this conversation, especially again when people are trying to deny history. When people
Why are Dems so afraid to explicitly say Republicans do that? Because Dems like losing. They enjoy losing.
You know, so-called leaders are saying that enslaved people benefited from slavery. I mean, let's talk about the delta here in terms of the work that needs to be done. It's profound.
Madam Vice President, I want to move to Springfield, Ohio, and what's happening there. We've seen school closures, parents worried about their kids leaving the home because of racist conspiracy theories that I won't repeat here, but they have been repeated by leaders on the Republican side, President Trump, former President Trump, and Vice Presidential nominee J.D. Vance. From your perspective, is this just a case of irredeemable racism that can't be mitigated by any rational action, or is this a situation in which a federal response could help this community heal? There's a question of resources and...
Well, no, I'll let you finish and then I'll speak.
No, please.
It's a crying shame. I mean, my heart breaks for this community.
Again, this is what I mean. Like, this is the easiest. The Republicans are giving you the best layup in the fucking universe. They're being so obviously evil. You are being given so much ammunition, but you still fall back on these folksy, like, my heart breaks that my colleagues across the aisle think it's appropriate. Come on, man. What do they have to do before you feel comfortable going hard on them?
You know, there were children, elementary school children, who it was school photo day. You remember what that's like?
Like that, like it's again. Proud Boys like lynch 20 Haitian migrants in the town square of Springfield, Ohio. My heart breaks. Do you remember the kiss of the first day of summer sun on your cheek as you walk outside? Just call them Hitler, please. I beg of you.
Going to school on picture day?
Is she scared of the angry black woman stereotype? Unfortunately, yes. I do think that's part of it, but I think that you can come across like angry and disciplined in a way that's less likely to flag those tropes with racist people. I think it's possible to do that. It's also worth noting, though, that the kind of people who would take umbrage with that behavior from her are also the kind of people who probably think that Haitians in Springfield, Ohio are eating cats. Like, you might be alienating a group of people who are already aliens. You know?
Who were dressed up in their best, got all ready, knew what they were going to wear the night before, and had to be evacuated. Children.
Like, I think this is negligent. I think it undersells the terror of what's going on over there. You know? I think you could very easily, like, there are a million things you could say right now. Like, I don't know, I say, I mean, watch my videos, Kamala Harris. That's what I'm saying. But this, whatever, I'll let her finish. I'm going to pause every 2 seconds with my frustration.
A whole community.
You know? It's sincere frustration.
And I'll say a couple things about it. One, you know, I learned a long time ago in my career, having a background as a prosecutor, when you have these positions, when you have that kind of microphone in front of you, you really ought to understand at a very deep level how much your words have meaning. I learned at a very young stage in my career that
again, like, if you want any historical perspective on this, what is happening right now with the Haitians is, with no exaggeration, without any, like, flowery language or hyperbole, identical to what they did to the Jews. It is 1-to-1. The pogrom installation, the idea of them being like freaky outsiders who are stealing your shit, who are like destroying the community, who are spreading disease, they're vermin, they're like, all of this, it's 1-to-1. It's not an exaggeration, it's straightforward. Can you imagine a like social democrat liberal talking about this, talking like this after Kristallnacht or whatever? Or like you know, the many they into the Warsaw ghettos. It sounds ridiculous when you, yes, because they did. I know, they did do that. At least some of them did. But like, the difference between now and then is now we can say, hey, this is like the Nazis. They couldn't say that back then because it was the Nazis. It's not irresponsibility. It's not being careful with language. It's inciting a pogrom. I don't know what line has to be crossed here before you use language with a degree of alarmism that is proportionate to the severity of what is happening.
the meaning of my words could impact whether somebody was free or in prison. As Attorney General, I was of California, fifth largest economy in the world.
The latter.
I was acutely aware that my words could move markets. When you are bestowed with a microphone that is that big.
I've never heard this term before. Pogrom. It means like a purge or like a riot or an execution or an exiling of a minority group in an area. It's not a word that's been used very often up until very recently. I learned about the word from I think the Witcher games. Like just a few years ago, and before that I hadn't heard the word before, so I guess it's coming back into fashion. It's certainly appropriate.
There is a profound responsibility that comes with that. That is an extension of what should not be lost in this moment, this concept of the public trust. To then understand what the public trust means. It means that you have been invested with trust to be responsible in the way you use your words, much less how you conduct yourself.
It's not a matter of irresponsibility. They're not being careless. They're doing Hitler shit. There's a difference. Those aren't the same things. The SPD be like, Jewish families were terrorized. Their businesses were vandalized. The Nazi Party ought to realize their words have weight. They have a responsibility to their constituents. Literally, that's literally. natural disaster language. Yeah, in this case, she's not even like directly impugning the people who...
And especially when you have been and then seek to be again President of the United States of America. And so I go back to, it's a crying shame, literally. What's happening to those families, those children in that community, not to mention...
Just to be clear, no German liberals did not talk like this after Kristallnacht. The SPD had literally gone underground because they were being purged. By the point of Kristallnacht, yeah, things were like too far gone. But Kristallnacht was not the first pogrom against Jews in Germany. I'm speaking a bit flippantly on the historical timeline, but there are actually some excellent books on this, which if the name came to mind right now, that'd be so convenient for me. But like, it is very interesting to see how the SPD talked in the lead up to the Nazis after, like, Hitler was released from prison, after his appointment by, you know, to Chancellor, like, all of that, you know? It's very interesting. And a lot of it reads like, it's very doomed when you read it now, because you can read these little historical anecdotes where there were liberals in Germany being like, oh my God, did you hear that thing Hitler said? Completely unelectable. He sounds like a lunatic. No one will take him seriously after that. And then it's like, this person was died in Auschwitz-Birkenau, 1940. The person who wrote that, I mean. And it's like, wow, you know, the historical... The weight of history comes across quite a bit in this text. That's why I'm insisting on this.
What is happening in terms of, look, you say you care about law enforcement resources being put into this because of these serious threats that are being issued against a community that is living a productive, good life before this happened, and spewing lies that are grounded in tropes that are age-old.
Oh?
And look, I said it not very far from here the other day at the debate. This is not new. This is not new in terms of these tropes. This is not new in terms of where it's coming from. And, you know, whether it is refusing to rent to people, rent to black families.
Okay, no, this is still incredibly weak. We might tie this to history, but like, yeah.
It is taking out a full-page ad in the New York Times against 5 innocent black and Latino teenagers, the Central Park Five.
Now we're just back to like Trump talking points. It's not the same at all.
Whether it is referring to the first black president of the United States with a lie.
It's not just about Trump, and it's not like not downplaying it, but Donald Trump being a racist landlord back in the 70s and 80s is pretty minor compared to what's happening right now. And I don't at all mean that as a way of downplaying what he did. I just think people are really underestimating how bad things are right now. Like, redlining is 1950s America. What's going on in Springfield, Ohio is 1930s Germany. There's a pretty big difference.
Birther lies? And look, the American people deserve, and I do believe want better than this. I do believe that. I know. The vast majority of us as Americans know we have so much more in common than what separates us. I know that. I know.
Also, bringing this back to Orange Man bad is such a weak line. This goes so far beyond him. You know, even if she wins and then Trump dies in 26 on the toilet, in 28 they're going to run like, I don't know, they're going to run fucking... Who's the worst fucking guy they could run? Why am I blanking on his name right now? Stephen Miller. Yeah, they're going to run Stephen Miller or whatever. and the Democrats are going to treat him with exactly the same kid gloves. They're going to be like, it was very irresponsible of Stephen Miller to say that non-white people are vermin who poison the blood of this nation. Why am I saying that now? Trump has already said that immigrants are poisoning the blood of the nation. I don't know why. Like, I keep trying to think like, well, next time they'll say more Hitlerite rhetoric. They've already said the damn Hitlerite rhetoric. It's already like approaching 100% Hitler.
That regardless of someone's background, their race, their gender, their geographic location, I know that people are deeply troubled by what is happening to that community in Springfield, Ohio. And it's got to...
I saw something that he called immigrants animals. And yeah, in case, once again, like, and this isn't new. This is from April. Which moment in this clip was it?
States not Pain Trail, an office
Student in Georgia who was humans. I said, no, them animals. The Democrats say, please don't call them animals. They're humans. I said, no, they're not humans. They're not humans. They're animals.
Trump also described...
I get, like, it's... I don't... That was from April, by the way.
Stop. And we've got to say that you cannot be entrusted with standing behind the seal of the President of the United States of America.
You are denigrating the honored legacy of the United States President.
Hateful rhetoric that, as usual, is designed to divide us as a country, is designed...
No, it's not designed to divide us as a country. It's not. I mean, it is, but it's designed to instigate the mass murder and ostracization of a minority group. Dividing us as a country, that's so broad. Everything divides us as a country. Sports games divide us as a country.
To have people pointing fingers at each other. It's designed to do that. And I think most people in our country, regardless of their race, are starting to see through this nonsense. And to say, you know what, let's turn the page on this. This is exhausting, and it's harmful. And it's hateful. And grounded in some age-old stuff that we should not
I think
have...
it's the way you would talk about dog whistling, but it's not dog whistling. Does that make sense? Age-old stuff. It's the way you would talk about, like, if there was coded behavior, but it's not. It's just the thing.
The tolerance for. So let's turn the page and chart a new way forward and say, you can't have that microphone again.
Madam Vice President, I'm switching gears again.
Okay.
Quick question. I want to talk to you about gun control. So you've said you support an assault weapons ban. And
she went way harder on Charlottesville. What happened in Charlottesville was not as bad as what's happening right now. People realize that, right? Like, what it represents, like, conceptually about the country. So Charlottesville was a Nazi rally. We've had those, okay? This is the presidential and vice presidential candidates who are a coin flip away from winning, doing full Nazi pogrom shit on it. Like, this is very, very like the level of like implied power and like the culpability from those in power. The difference is enormous. Whatever. We just need to move on. I'm gonna
universal background checks, and we actually learned during the debate that you are a gun owner. But in cities like Philadelphia, handguns are responsible for most homicides and violent crime. The most recent FBI data shows handguns were involved in 59% of murders in our country. How will you address the issue of the use of handguns? Because a push for an assault weapons ban only addresses a significant but small part of the problem.
So, first of all, yes,
I'm surprised this question was. It's a good question. This has always been one of the most brain dead parts of liberal anti-gun hysteria, which is they obsess over the rifles. Most murders are done with handguns.
I'm a gun owner, and Tim Walz is a gun owner, and we're not trying to take anybody's guns away from them. But we do need an assault weapons ban.
That is taking...
Assault weapons are designed to kill a lot of human beings quickly and have no place. And
all guns are designed to... No, we're not... People don't sell single-shot pistols anymore. Automatic weapons are already illegal outside some exceptions. We're talking about semi-automatic weapons. An AR-15, you know, you've got a 30-round magazine. There are Glocks, like the standard magazine for which is like 21 rounds. I mean,
have no place. I'm going to get to it.
Yes.
And have no place on the streets of a civil society. We need universal background checks, which, to your point about handguns, is about saying that it is just reasonable to want reasonable gun safety laws that say we should do background checks, that we ought to know. It's just reasonable. You might want to know before someone can buy a lethal weapon. If they've been found by a court to be a danger to themselves or others, you might just want to know.
And respectfully, we do understand that.
But you're asking about...
I'm asking specifically about handguns, because many of those handguns aren't purchased in places.
Universal background checks apply to handguns.
Yes.
They do.
But in
And
many instances, those handguns aren't even bought lawfully. Yes.
Which is why I also have been very adamant for years. In fact, I myself protested at a gun show probably 10, 15 years ago about the gun show loophole and why we need to close that. Because what ends up happening is that gun shows at flea markets, gun dealers are not, under existing law in the past, required to register their sales. And so you are exactly right that a lot of homicides, for example, a good number of them, I don't have the statistic in front of my mind, are committed with illegally purchased guns. And that's why we need to address each entry point in the issue, including universal background checks, closing the gun show loophole, and what we need to do as a general matter to focus not only on reaction to crime, but prevention of crime. So you're raising a very important issue that has many facets, including what we need to do in terms of reasonable gun safety laws and what we need to do around crime prevention, what we need to do around crime deterrence. But listen, I have personally prosecuted homicide cases. I have held the hands of mothers who have come to me crying, who have said, I only want to talk to Kamala, because they knew when they sat down, I would treat them with the dignity and respect that they were entitled and due, about the loss of their child, often their son, to gun violence and the need to take it seriously. And we must take it seriously in every way, understanding it's not just about a soundbite. It's about a comprehensive approach that deals with the tragedy of, to your point, everyday gun violence in America. It's real. It has had a profound impact in terms of trauma that, for the most part, has gone undiagnosed and untreated. The trauma that exists in communities around the violence of losing their children, losing a brother, losing a father, an uncle, all of that must be addressed, and we have to have a holistic response to it.
Are there things we haven't thought about yet? Because every time we bring up this issue of gun violence, universal background checks comes up and a ban on assault weapons. Are there other solutions that you're also thinking about that will get at this issue?
Absolutely. For example, part of what we did with, so we, as vice president with the president, we were able to pass the first meaningful gun safety legislation in 30 years. And part of what that involved was millions and millions of dollars to put more mental health counselors in public schools. Right? Because we know that there is an aspect of this that is about treating the trauma and dealing with it at its source before it ends up manifesting itself in a...
How do you square this with the fact that there have been multiple school shootings recently where the person who did the shooting wasn't even a student at the school they did the shooting at? You know, I do agree that mental health is a big component of the issue and that it's mostly young men, let's be real here, who are causing these issues. I don't know whether that's the line, you know?
Problem. There is the word...
Young white men. Well, young white men for school shootings, young black men for most shootings. Not to get all FBI stats on you, but a significant portion of the mass shootings in this country aren't school shootings. They're gang-related, crime-related, whatever. Mass shooting being any shooting that involves 4 or more deaths. And in those cases, you know, you get a lot of people dying in, I don't know, inner city areas over drug territory disputes, and sometimes just, you know, people get really heated or whatever the fuck. It's a high tension environment, I imagine. You know, I've seen Breaking Bad. I'm woke. I'm with it. And in those cases, it's not even necessarily a mental health thing. It's just like an economics issue. You know, there isn't enough security in those areas, both economically and like literally with police, because no one trusts the police there, nor should they. So the gangs end up becoming the de facto police in a lot of... Watch The Wire for a documentary on what I'm talking about. Thank you. Thank you.
Work that we need to do that is about putting resources into communities around violence prevention. I've been a big advocate of that for years, which includes what we need to do around putting resources into community-based intervention that is not just requiring on the good people in the community to volunteer to do the intervention, but actually paying people to do it because it's a full-time job. It's about understanding what we need to do to, again, understand that, to your point, we have to have a holistic response to this issue and prioritize it instead of reacting to the tragedy that, sadly, they are too predictable. Let's all agree, enough of that. There are very few solutions that we haven't thought of. We need to put the resources into them.
Madam Vice President, we want to...
She did kind of run away from the question about why you do an assault weapons ban when the majority of firearm murders are from handguns, but there's not really a good answer to that, so...
To the topic of reproductive access, something that you have worked in leading on both for the administration, Democrats, and now the top of the ticket. You've said that as president, you would want to codify Roe. If it came to your desk, you would sign a bill that did that. Roe protected access until fetal viability, which it also says is, quote, at about 7 months, but it may occur earlier, even at 24 weeks. So do you similarly support also codifying Roe's restrictions, which allowed states to ban abortion in the 3rd trimester of pregnancy unless necessary to save the mother's life?
We need to put the protections of Roe v. Wade back into law. And when that bill gets passed by Congress, I will proudly sign it into law. Understand what is happening in our country. Over 20 states have...
It's really stupid because I don't think that blanket legislation is a good policy when it comes to medical practice. But if that was the compromise that was necessary to get federal protections for abortion rights in the first 2 trimesters, I think that would be an acceptable loss. That in the 3rd trimester, abortions are blanket federally not legal except for life of the mother cases, because the majority of abortions that are happening in the 3rd trimester are ones that are happening because of the health of the mother. There are not many women who are carrying, you know, fetuses for 7.5 months, and then they're like, well, you know, that was fun. Being like permanently sick for the past 7.5 months felt great, but I think I've had enough fun. Time for an abortion. I don't think so. At that point, you're getting close to induced labor territory anyway, you know. Yeah, I think that would be an acceptable compromise. First 2 trimesters, abortion is legal with no excuses. You can do it for fun if you want. Most women don't, but, you know, if you want to have it for fun, go crazy. And the 3rd trimester, federally illegal except in case health of the mother. It seems like if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes.
Passed what I call Trump abortion bans because I understand how we got here. The former president handpicked 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. They did as he intended, and in state after state, laws have been passed criminalizing healthcare providers. I don't know if anyone here has heard most recently the stories out of Georgia. Tragic story about a young woman who died because it appears the people who should have given her health care were afraid they'd be criminalized after the Dobbs decision came down. Laws that make no exception even for rape or incest, which means that you're telling a survivor of a crime of a violation to their body that they have no right to make a decision about what happens to their body next, which is immoral. An approach that doesn't take into account that most people, I think, agree you don't have to abandon your faith or deeply held beliefs to agree the government should not be telling her what to do with her body. If she chooses, she will talk with her pastor, her priest, her rabbi, her imam, but it should not be the government or Donald Trump telling her what to do about her own body and her life. So that's where I stand. We need to put back in place the protection of Roe v. Wade and put that into law.
And those restrictions that are also in.
We need to put back in place the protections of Roe v. Wade and let an individual, in consultation with her doctor, make the decision based on what she can determine.
This is such a cop-out because the protections that Roe v. Wade offered were not the same as a federal abortion guarantee. All Roe v. Wade did was prevent state governments well, I suppose the federal government as well, if they wanted to, from passing abortion ban laws. That's not those are different. There's a difference between an affirmative law that protects the legality of such and such versus a Supreme Court precedent that prevents laws against such and such. Things are assumed legal by default unless a law prevents them, or a bill or whatever prevents them from being legal.
Because she's smart enough to know what's in her best interest instead of having her government tell her what to do, especially a bunch of people in these state capitals who think they're in a better position to tell her what to do than she is to know what's in her best interest.
Before we conclude, Madam Vice President, Joyful Warrior has been used to describe
You
your
didn't
campaign.
see that just a minute ago, though. Okay, I'm back to my joyful part.
And your opponent and Republicans have at times weaponized you laughing in campaign ads, for example. Why is joy important to you to insert into this election? And what do you make of Republicans using that as a way to suggest that you're not a serious candidate?
Well, sometimes I think, and I'll say to whoever the young people are who are watching this, there are some times when your adversaries will try and turn your strength into a weakness. Don't you let them. Don't you let them. I find joy in the American people. I find joy and optimism in what I see to be our future and our ability to invest in it. I find joy in the ambition of the people. I find joy in the dreams of the people. I find joy in building community. I find joy in building coalitions.
This is very
I find
girl
joy
boss.
in believing that the true measure of the strength of a leader is not based on who you beat down, but who you lift up. And I think we should all find joy and have a sense of optimism about who we are as Americans and what we mean to each other and what we can do to lift each other up.
Madam Vice President, President Biden spoke to former President Trump after the attempt on his life this weekend. Have you spoken to him?
I have.
And earlier today, I assume?
Yes.
How'd that go? You want to give us some intel?
Sure. I checked on him to see if he was okay.
Yeah.
And I told him what I have said publicly. There's no place for political violence in our country. I am in this election.
A truncated version of this interview would go her softballing answers to the question of how do you feel about your opponents trying to incite a racial program, comma, don't let them take your joy from you, comma. And also I wanted to let Donald Trump know that I hope he's okay. It's like, I know that there are necessary compromises that you have to make to appeal to enough people to win the presidency. I know you're not going to be like a hard-lined Twitter lefty with the based and red-pilled answers every time. I understand this, but it's like, damn, there is no fire at all.
In this race for many reasons, including to fight for our democracy. And in a democracy, there is no place for political violence. We can and should have healthy debates and discussion and disagreements, but not resort to violence to resolve those issues.
On January 6th, your vehicle was allowed to kind of pass a viable pipe bomb. We've seen...
No, I was in the building.
You were in the building. And we've seen what's happened with former President Trump. Do you have full confidence in the Secret Service to protect all of you?
I do.
You feel safe, you and your family?
I do. But, I mean, you can go back to Ohio. Not everybody has Secret Service. And there are far too many people in our country right now who are not feeling safe.
Okay,
I look at Project 2025, and I look at, like the Don't Say Gay laws coming out of Florida. Members of the LGBTQ community don't feel safe right now. Immigrants or people with an immigrant background don't feel safe right now. Women don't feel safe right now. And so, yes, I feel safe. I have Secret Service protection. But that doesn't change my perspective on the importance of fighting for the safety of everybody in our
almost done,
country.
guys.
And
You've
doing
been very
everything
brave.
we can to, again, lift people up and not beat people down so they feel alone and are made to feel small.
Why don't they feel safe? Who's making them unsafe? Yeah, even with like a good pivot, she still has to be fucking boring about it,
Made to feel like they're somehow not a part of it or us.
Madam Vice President, Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. I've appreciated this. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, well, that was pretty fucking limp dick. Mostly, like, my main shock here, I think, is just the remarkable lack of passion and fire in talking about what's going on in Springfield, Ohio. It is genuinely insane that something this electorally damaging, this morally damaging, is being referred to in the same terms. She just turned it into an excuse to talk about Trump's history of racism. It goes beyond that, man. Way beyond that. Huge miss. Massive miss. Like, she's falling below the bar that was set at some points with, like, the dark Brandon rhetoric, you know? Where he was condemning the Trump administration and the Trump campaign. We're not even hitting that point. Do you think the Dems just don't think it's that bad? No, I don't think that. I think they think it's very bad. I just don't think that these, you know, limp dick institutionalist bitches have the fire in their chest to refer to things that are bad as bad. They can't summon the passion. They're too civility pilled. Well, that was all great. Okay, we have to continue. Vosh, do remember that as a woman, she can't be fiery. I think that's bullshit. I don't think we can use that as like an infinite pass to be weak on this. You know, there are absolutely ways that you can present the message much more aggressively as a woman. And the kinds of people who would impugn you for that are that already not going to vote for you. You know? Okay, we've got way the fuck more to look at. Let's go through these links. Let's move quickly. All right, we've got some Ku Klux Klan stuff going on in Springfield, Ohio. Very nice, very nice. The Nazis online who agree with every single thing being said here have already said that it's fake. Obviously, there's nothing that Nazis love more than calling other Nazis federal agents. Is that the Nazi font? Yes. This, if you Google Nazi font, you will get this. You know? $6,000 comments. Yeah, it's all going to be Nazis calling this like federal agent shit. What is this?
That was an overthrow of a president. That was, he won. He had 14 million votes. He had no votes. Crazy Nancy Pelosi walked in, and some of the others, and they say, "We want you out." He said, "I'm not going to get out. I want to run." I was leading him by a lot after the debate, but still he had the right to run, and they literally, it was a coup in the truest sense. This was the first coup of an American president. And I think it's, you know, look, I don't say fair or not fair. He was very nice today. He called up to make sure I was okay, to make sure that, you know, do I have any suggestions or anything? We do need more people on my detail because we have 50, 60,000 people showing up to events, and, you know, other people don't have that. But he couldn't have been nicer. But I thought he was treated really unfairly. He went through a primary system, he won, and then they threw him overboard. And
he'll never forgive Kamala Harris for stealing Joe Biden from him. He'll never forgive them. Yeah, I feel like we have to talk about this. This is pretty goddamn wild. Okay, so apparently Israel concocted a Looney Tunes style attack on Hezbollah, or I suppose I should say Lebanon in general, because they somehow distributed pagers with explosives in them that ended up getting used widely. So everyone with pagers on them, they all exploded all at once. 11 dead, 4,000 injured, a ton of civilians injured because not just Hezbollah were using it. It literally was just like a bunch of small explosions all over Lebanon. No, it's fully some like supervillain shit. Yeah. Is this a war crime? Yes. Isn't that just terrorism? Yes. It's more likely the batteries were overvolted by a cyber attack. I'm going to be real with you. That sounds like movie gobbledygook to me. But I guess I don't know. I'm not going to pretend that I know. I don't know. They made the pagers explode. They put explosions in the pagers themselves. Recent imports from Hezbollah. I mean, it's enough to like kill you or blow your leg off. It's just like a very undifferentiated attack. It's kind of like what we planned on doing in Tokyo, where we would strap firebombs to a bunch of bats and then let bats all over Tokyo, and then they would hide in the rafters of wooden buildings, and then they would all go off. Like, it's just a very, it's like a mass IED, basically. Vosh, be careful with saying this was a war crime. Lonerbox just did a whole stream debating. Be careful who might come for you. It feels kind of war crimey to me. To just sort of like undifferentiatingly distribute this and then detonate that. Wouldn't it be like, didn't the Soviets get criticism for having the spread explosives in Afghanistan that were like colored and kids would get them? You know? The little bomblets that kind of looked like toys, and people were saying the Soviets made them to look like toys so kids would pick them up so the kids would get maimed or killed. I don't think they were deliberately made to look like toys, but I would call that, you know, kind of war crimey, like on a vibes basis, personally. I don't know. Seems pretty bad. Either way, who gives a shit if Israel, like, if this specifically is a war crime? It's like Israel's already done like 500,000 of them. Like, you know, it's like debating whether they've done 400,000 war crimes or 400,001. I don't know. I don't know if I can show these because they went off everywhere. It's not like. It's literally just like nothing is happening, and then a guy's leg has a little puff of smoke. Looks like just random people, too. I mean, I know anyone can be Hezbollah, but... Yeah, Jesus Christ. Cartoon Looney Tunes shit. It's a bit more precise than that. Hezbollah specifically used pagers after it banned its members using phones. It's more likely the IDF intercepted a shipment going to them or set up a front company to sell them to Hezbollah. Sky News is saying that's what happened as well. That makes sense. Well, it's not like the Hezbollah guys walk around in uniform. Well, yeah, of course. That's what I just said. I mean, I'm impressed at the ingenuity. It's kind of a huge flex, you know? Like the ability to intercept the shipment like that. That's pretty impressive. A friend I have in Lebanon said a lot of civilians carried these as well. Well, we know that for a fact. One of the people killed was a 10-year-old girl. It's just a pager. Like, the fact that they're distributed by Hezbollah, which is, like, has an enormous amount of power and control. You know what I mean? Imagine if everything, like, imagine if, like, a shipment of goods made its way through the IDF, and then you waited, and a lot of it ended up making its way down to civilian life, and then it blew up, and it's like, oh, well, it was only targeted at the IDF. No. Vosh, if Ukraine would do that to Russian officers and generals, wouldn't you find it a genius move? No? If all of a sudden like 5,000 random ass people across Russia like had their legs blown off and a bunch of them were civilians? No? Maybe if the good that exploded was like a gun, because in that case I would expect that it would be, you know, it would just kind of be contained to the people with the guns. Whatever. Insane Looney Tunes shit. And you all have Looney Tunes brain right now. Your brain's cooked. Lebanon's health minister, Firas Abiad, said Abiad? I don't know. Said the blast on Tuesday killed a 10-year-old girl, among others, and advised that the health ministry told Reuters on Tuesday night that 4,000 people have been injured, 400 of whom are in critical condition. The apparent sabotage attack followed months of targeted assassinations by Israel against senior Hezbollah leaders, came with U.S. officials trying to de-escalate tensions between the two sides, and remain concerned that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, I've heard of this guy, could order a ground invasion of Lebanon. It threatens to derail efforts by the U.S. to prevent Iran, which backs the Lebanese Shia militia, from retaliating against Israel for the July bombing, and Tehran. The blast appeared to exploit the low-tech pagers that Hezbollah has adopted in order to prevent the targeted assassination of its members, who could be tracked by mobile phone signals. Those wounded in the attack include Iran's ambassador to Beirut, Mojtaba Amani, according to reports. Ratcheted up tensions. Yeah, I could see that ratcheting up tensions. That seems like the kind of thing one might do to ratchet up tensions. Something similar to this is the U.S. planting sabotaged ammunition to blow up the AKs of NVA and Viet Cong fighters. The West also did the same thing against ISIS. At least in that case, they're targeting a munition, like a military, like ammunition, right? You probably don't have a lot of 10-year-old girls walking around with like booby-trapped ammunition, though. I mean, I don't know. It was ISIS, so. These were pathologic NPCs. The kids all have ammunition. True! By the way, the IDF foiled an IRGC assassination plot against an IDF general literally yesterday. Aw. Can't win them all, I suppose. Wistful, they don't give a shit. They love riling up their neighbors. They use pagers in Lebanon. That's crazy. Well, they just said mobile phone signals can be tracked, so they don't want anyone getting assassinated. Hospitals across Lebanon were overwhelmed with an influx of patients, and a field hospital was set up in the southern city of Tyre to accommodate the wounded. The sound of ambulance sirens was constant in Lebanon's capital city for more than 3 hours after the initial attack. Videos of patients, including children with mangled hands, gaping wounds in their sides, and bandaged heads, circulated on Lebanese social media. Well, I'm sure this will contribute positively to the diplomatic situation in the region. It is Looney Tunes. It is a huge flex from the IDF that they were able to intercept a shipment like this, you know? This has all the hallmarks of a Mossad operation. Well, yeah, probably. I don't know. Who else would do it? Okay, yeah. They gotta paint a tunnel on a wall next. Yeah, that's the next strat. It's a lot of text right there, okay, Comrade Robin Hood. Biden would fall for it. I would fall for it. I'm man enough to admit that if my mortal enemy painted a big like fake like tunnel on a cliff wall, I would run into it at high speed and flatten myself against it. What if it was shaped like you? That's a totally different thing. That's a totally different thing. I would simply go through the tunnel, but then my enemy would hit the wall. That's pretty good. I don't know how you'd pull that off, but that would be pretty good. Painting a tunnel with a sign that says denim sale. Dude, I landed this shit. This was 15% off in a summer sale, and there's no sales tax in Oregon. I got this shit way cheaper than I might have otherwise. How was Oregon? I enjoyed Portland a lot. I liked walking around. Obviously, the city has a lot of problems, but one thing that I was kind of surprised by was how quiet it was. I was walking around on a Sunday evening in areas that looked like they were very nice and walkable. And of course, there were homeless, because everyone's like, "Oh, the homeless." Yeah, I know. I grew up in LA and Seattle. But I was surprised by how quiet it was. Pike, the Pike Street in Seattle and like Capitol Hill are bustling at nighttime. We didn't have time to go to Voodoo Donuts, unfortunately. I've had it before. I've had it before. Little feathers on sticks, Mechmite. They love that shit. Little strings. They just like, wacky stuff. It was quiet because they burnt down the whole city. Yeah, that's true. That's pretty true. Did you watch Portlandia? Absolutely not. Don't say unaliving in my chat, Liquid Nitrogen. I don't want to associate with those people. Yeah, I saw this. Again, what am I even supposed to say about stuff like this? Apparently, NYPD cops bust into a homeless shelter and beat the shit out of the guy. They didn't have a warrant, and the worker's boss told him not to let them in, so they bust in and attacked him anyway. Like, okay. Classic cop shit. Classic cop behavior, They have been on a roll lately over there in the NYPD. They shot 3 people in the subway 2 days ago. Almost 4 people, yeah. I did see that. One thing that bothers me, though, about that story and the way everyone is talking about it, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because, again, I've been on a road trip, until this morning. Like, I wake up this morning, now I'm getting back up with the world. My understanding is that the cops only started shooting after the guy who didn't pay the fare pulled out a knife and ran at the cops. Right? Yeah? That's what I heard. This is out of context. Well, okay, that's a weird thing to say. Could you provide the context then? And you believe cops? Why are you attacking me? I'm asking for information on this. That was the cop story. There's been no corroboration as far as I'm aware. Has a knife been found? No knife was found at the scene? Okay, so the cops just fully lied about it. Gotcha. Okay. Can I get Can I get some info on that? This is beyond fair evasion, the statement said. When approached, the individual produced a knife, threatened the life of the police officer, and put bystanders at risk. The police said on Sunday that a knife had been recovered at the scene and posted a picture of it on social media. But on Monday, the department posted a message online seeking the public's help, finding an unidentified man who they said had taken the knife from the crime scene about a half hour after the shootings. What? They said they recovered the knife, but then later they were like a half hour after the shootings. We're idiots. So the knife was still there a half hour after the shootings and someone else ran with it. Man, cops are crazy, dude. They'll just say shit. The knife respawned somewhere else. Yeah, they had like a physics engine glitch. It did that. It did like Gmod welding, you know, item bump noises as it phased through the wall. Guess they forgot to get their story straight. Well, cops do tend to be pretty fucking stupid. You know, hence the aim from the guy who shot and wounded 3 people. Wait, the cop missed and shot 3 bystanders? Well, don't worry. The main bystander that got shot was another cop, so at least they're keeping it to themselves. Oh, and then Eric Adams. Hold on, wait. I saw this one. Eric Adams was like, a heroic cop was injured in the line of duty. Earlier today, one of our officers was shot while protecting our subway system. I'm relieved to report he's in good condition now, and we have arrested the suspect who put so many lives in danger. Yeah, man, that guy put so many lives in danger. He fucking emitted the pheromones that make NYPD cops fire blindly in a crowded subway. I cannot thank these officers enough for their bravery. The officer in question was shot by a fellow NYPD officer. They also shot 2 bystanders. Incredible stuff. I love like 1/3 of the New York City budget getting spent on cops so that they can prevent an absolutely minuscule amount of missed fare crossings. What an insane budget. There shouldn't even be a fare. Do you have any idea how much money it costs to make sure that the proles are paying like what? $1, $2, $3 every time they use your vital, well-integrated public transit system? Just make it free. Where you get the money from? Raise taxes. Fuck you. Literally. That's it. It's infrastructure. Do you make people pay for every use of a road? No, you fold it into the taxes. Why should bicyclists have to pay city taxes to like accommodate the maintenance costs of the roads? But if you ride the train or whatever, or the bus, you're like a special extra kind of cost. Like you're like a unique situation and you should have to pay individually. Fuck that. There are literally toll roads. I don't know how you guys are doing over there in the East Coast, but toll roads are pretty uncommon over here in the West Coast. And the revenue from toll roads are usually eaten up by private companies. That's not how roads get paid for. Roads get paid for from taxes, like gas tax, or, you know, and just city tax, stuff like that. You people still have toll roads? I don't see that many of them over here. There's like 2 in Seattle that I'm aware of that I've driven through a few times. It's clear how insane it is when you put it like this. There should literally just not be fares. Period. Yeah, when this is the math you're doing, the NYPD spent $150 million to catch fare beaters who cost the MTA $104,000. Are you fucking kidding me, man? It's New York City. It's literally the city. That's capital T, the city. And they're just, they're burning money on this for no reason. Should New York City subsidize out-of-towners using the subway? I think they did this in Barcelona, where if you're a city resident, you get a card that allows you to use their metro, buses, whatever, for free. Just for free. And if you're out of town, like a tourist, you have to pay. And I really like that. I really like that. Because cities, first and foremost, should be for the people who live there. No matter how much of a tourist destination it is, like New York City or Barcelona, it should be for the people who live there. And if tourists want to come in, you can pay for the train. You can pay for the bus. The guy who needs the train to get to work, he should not pay for it. He lives here. Because they're not paying taxes. They're only paying for like sales tax when they get here, you know? A tourist the tourists use the tube or the New York City's metro or Barcelona's metro or whatever. They use them, but they're not there paying income tax, right? Just pay while you're there. You're only there for a week, man. Just get like a $40 week-long metro card and use the fuck out of it. Sure, whatever. But if you live in New York City... Agreed, Anonymous Platypus. I think we could fix so much by doing that. Venice literally has a tourism fee for everyone who reacts a hotel room. Reacts? I assume you mean just gets a hotel room or whatever. Yeah, that should be fine. Tourism should be expensive, you know? Like, there are major cities in the world that are getting like fucked for the people who live there because tourists drive up everything and turn the entire city into a playground for them. But people live there, you know? There has to be a balancing act. And I think the more a city is burdened by tourism, and it is a burden, just because it brings in a lot of people doesn't necessarily mean it brings in the kind of money that benefits the community. There are a lot of like small Greek islands where there are like many millionaires going over there every summer season, and they're having an amazing time or whatever, but all the money gets caught up in the resorts. And that doesn't trickle down to the people there, like Hawaii as well, right? If you go to Hawaii as a white person, as a tourist or whatever, and all the money you spend is on like the tourist-friendly resort or like resort-affiliated restaurants or whatever, your money isn't enriching Hawaii at all. All your money is going back to the same multinational corporation, like conglomerate shit that, you know, is invested in the businesses, you know? You're doing the opposite. You're pulling money from Hawaii. Which is why I've always said, like, if you're going to do tourism in an area of the world that is kind of like besieged by tourism, like the Philippines, Thailand, Hawaii to a large extent. There are plenty of places in like Greece and Italy that suffer from this in smaller, like to smaller extent. There are lots of places in the world that are like this. If you're there, you should make an effort to try to enrich the actual community that you're going to. You know what I mean? I mean, be like safety conscious, right? If you're going over to the Philippines as a wealthy American, you're kind of a pickpocketing target, obviously. So be careful. But you know, it's just something to keep in mind, is all I'm saying. I don't think it's wrong if you're a rich Westerner to want to do tourism, because you only have one life. You only live on one earth. There are lots of amazing things all around the world. If you want to experience that, okay, you know, yeah. I just think that there should be policies in these areas that, you know, try their best to benefit. My parents had their passports stolen in Barcelona. Oh, there were so many people that were trying to pickpocket me when I was there with my friends. It was really funny because we knew. So we were trying to be careful. And I have my like nice denim jackets, not this one, but a different one that has like deep pockets with a zip or buckle to close the pockets. So I can't really be pickpocketed, but because I was overconfident in my jacket, I was such a mark, man. I was walking to La Rambla. I was like in the main road heading down downtown, and there was this completely humorless, like middle-aged fat man with a giant bubble wand, and there was another guy with one of those like toys where you pull a zip cord and it shoots up like a helicopter thing that flutters down, and I'm fully like standing there like just completely confident in the infallibility of my of my jackets. Which, yeah, fair, I didn't get pickpocketed because they're not busting out the you know the lock picking tools to get through the the clothing that I'm wearing. But I mean, they were clearly there to distract people so that other people could pickpocket you. Razor blade in the bottom of the jacket. That's why you got to wear the denim. Your policies will bankrupt tourist cities. How would you implement them so tourists just don't go somewhere else? A city doesn't need tourism to thrive. Barcelona, Venice, these are already thriving cities, and they will still get plenty of tourism. I promise you, they will still get plenty. But, like, their economy is diversified, you know? I promise you it won't bankrupt them. Some cities do need tourism to thrive. It really depends, but I would encourage you guys to look into this, and I'm not like an expert on the subject. Tourism does not do for cities what you think it does. There are a lot of cities out there that are getting hurt by tourism. Their cultural artifacts, their sightseeing, the vibe of the city in general, like how nice it is to live there, they're all getting destroyed so that a couple of multinational corporations can make billions of dollars off of the money people spend at resorts and restaurants there, you know? It really, really, really varies. But I don't think that it's necessarily bad either. I just think that it's, I think it's complicated. Fuck, I put this back at the wrong height. Okay. Anonymous 75, think of all the money you'd save from not needing to have any of the security systems that you need to secure people's fair use. Bhutan has $100 a day tourist fee. If you're a tourist visiting Bhutan, you can afford $100 a day easily. I don't think tourism should be a luxury. I'm not saying tourism should be a luxury. I'm not saying anything that's like crazy off the cuff or whatever. This isn't like seriously, like this is, I'm talking about well-known problems that nobody wants to do anything about because the fucking main characters of reality are fat white Westerners who are looking to spend their excess income on overpriced meals from tourist joints within 5 feet of the resort they're staying at in other parts of the world. You know? Like, those people run the entire fucking planet, so unfortunately you can't do or say anything that goes against them. Is this related to car dependency? Not really, no. I mean, I guess it can be, but... Chatter saying tourism should be a luxury are basically the same as the pro-border fucks. Lily Krem, you're being kind of low IQ right now. Here in Greece, tourism is like 60% of the economy, and the country has been completely sold off in order to accommodate tourists. That's what I mean. Even if you make a lot of money from tourism, the fact that that contributes to your GDP, that money isn't going to Greece. It's getting caught up in a small collection of companies that are in many cases not even paying tax on it, depending on like where the company is registered or how specifically they get around it. There's always ways to get around it, you know. They make a fuck ton of money. It technically contributes to the Greek economy, but it's not doing anything for the people there, you know. This is what I'm talking about. Cruise ships too. Well, cruise ships are just like innately evil. Okay, that's enough. We only have an hour left for stream, and there's still so much to talk about. Yeah, Vosh, I recall you recently saying you thought tourism is good for the local economy. What changed? I don't recall. It depends on how the tourists' money is being used, where they're going, and what policies they're benefiting from. I think I was talking in the context of Barcelona. Barcelona does relatively well with its tourism, and a lot of the people who are bitching about the tourists there are dipshit Catalan nationalists who shouldn't be taken seriously. One of the reasons things are doing better for Barcelona is because A, it's already a developed city, so it's not like a bunch of like poor tenements are being taken over with resort town shit. And B, for the most part, as I understand it, like the money that tourists bring in Barcelona gets spread out a lot more across the city because the city is considered safe enough to tourists that they feel comfortable moving around, and they benefit from a lot of the like smaller like the, what do they call it? Tapas? That's tapas, you know? Like you can go anywhere down to the beaches or like the Rambla or the fucking near Sagrada de Familia, and there are a lot of tourists there that are kind of spreading the wealth around. But then if you go to like the Philippines, go take a look at how Westerners vacation to the Philippines, and it's like resorts, as in you have a cluster of hotels and resorts and whatever that are all in like a tourist zone, and the tourist zone has like approved experiences and designated restaurants and so on, and you're kind of told like, come on guys, let's not go out to this area. Maybe you'll take like a bus that goes through a main road to another area that's kind of owned by the resort, and you'll pass through a poor district, and you'll look out the window and see people holding like pots on their heads or whatever, and they'll be like, ha ha ha, this is our like, you know, this is our like culturally inclusive such and such district. Yeah, a lot of interesting stuff happens here, but we'll be taking you past this point to the, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm talking about. That relationship to tourism is very destructive. And I think Barcelona, you know, has already done a lot of stuff policy-wise that's good in terms of curbing tourism. Like, everyone there gets to use the train for free, but if you're a tourist, I had to pay like $40 for a week pass, which fine, totally fine. Stuff like that, totally cool with me. So it depends on the specifics there. Does that make sense? Pay the Euro white boy? Yeah. Yeah, if you go to a resort in the Philippines or a lot of other parts of the world that are poorer, all of your servants will be from the local ethnic and racial group, and I think it must get very uncomfortable to be this like, you know, middle-aged, like you're wearing a Cuban shirt and you're just chilling around a pool under the beautiful sun, and the people who are waiting on you are exclusively accented, darker-skinned people from the local ethnic group. Like, yeah, man, man, they sure did have fun in Rhodesia, didn't they, you know? This must have been back in the good old days, you know? Just like the Batista regime. Cancun, yeah. I was just on a Royal Caribbean cruise last week, and I thought about that constantly. They were almost all Filipino. Yep. Cruises can be pretty fucking bad like that. Why do I have a female? Female? I would never. Ew. Why do I have a feeling that soon I'm going to get an email from someone aggressively misinterpreting what I've said here, and they're going to argue either that I'm too pro or too anti tourism? Be realistic, when has that ever happened? Yeah, you're right. Okay. So this is kind of a funny bit for a few reasons. So I haven't talked about this because, to be honest, I don't have anything to say about it, but someone tried to kill Trump again. He was emanating powerful haki from behind a tree, like 500 meters away from Trump. The Secret Service checked him out. He had a gun. He's a Republican again. He's like a crazy J.D. Vance, Vivek Ramaswamy Republican. It seems like the main split between him and other Republicans is that he's insanely pro-Ukrainian, which right now that seems crazy, but you have to understand that before Trump, being pro-Russian was not a requirement for being a Republican. Now, being a Republican and being pro-Russian are pretty much one and the same, but it wasn't always like that. So I guess this guy got left behind and he wanted to take a shot at Trump, I hear. But he was still a conservative, you know? These conservatives, these white men, they just can't stop. They can't stop trying to kill Trump. Why would I want a president people keep trying to kill? That seems like a real, you know, liability. And that's why I'm with Kamala Harris. Anyway, people responded to this normally. But before I get to the thing I want to show, I'll just say, like, no one cares, by the way. Trump already did this bit. Nobody cares. This time, they didn't even fire a shot. You know? No one cares. It's played out. It's lame. It's boring. Recycling bits. He's washed. No one gives a fuck. You know, it was so pathetic right after it happened, seeing all of the conservative media accounts, like, recycling the same, you know, like, trying to gun people up to care. They're not. No one cares. No one cares. It's fucking boring. So yeah, anyway, Elon Musk capitalized on the situation by essentially incentivizing people to kill Kamala Harris because, you know, he's a very smart guy. Why won't the advertisers come back? Where's the tweet? You're talking about the tweet. Do they not want to show the tweet? Whatever. He said no one is even trying to kill Kamala Harris or Joe Biden. You know, thinking emoji, laughing, crying emoji, 100, arrow right in the marker. Didn't he delete it? You can post a screenshot. Anyway, he actually deleted the post, which is crazy. And apparently he's getting investigated by the Secret Service over it. Because, you know, obviously, right? The funniest thing, though, is that because he's, again, like, genuinely very low IQ, rather than just deleting it and sitting on it quietly, he did what you guys did when you were 13 and a joke of yours didn't land in the GC. Turns out jokes are way less funny if people don't know the context and delivery is in plain text. One lesson I just learned, just because I say something to a group and they laugh, doesn't mean it's going to be all that hilarious as a post on X. That's so real. I definitely feel that, except all my jokes land in public. Really, though, isn't it crazy? Genuinely, isn't it crazy? Like, sometimes it's a miracle to me he hasn't, like, accidentally tweeted his social security number. He is remarkable. Like, an extraordinary person in every possible negative way. Yes, the person who runs the New Hampshire Libertarian Twitter account, he's a neo-Nazi. He also said anyone who attempts to kill Kamala Harris would be a hero. He was visited by the FBI. J.D. Vance tried to follow up on it. Vance claims difference between Dems and Republicans is, quote, no one has tried to kill Kamala Harris. To me, what I'm registering from this, the feeling I'm getting from this, is that they're upset nobody's really tried it. Which is obviously true, but, like, they're getting pretty obvious with it, you know? 2 times now, there's been an attempt on Donald Trump's life, and Republicans have had to bear the indignity of finding out that it was a white Republican male. 2 times. Do you have any idea how unlikely that is? Of course, white Republican males are the types of people most likely to do these kinds of, like, unhinged political attacks. But, yeah. They're waiting. They want it to be a minority. They want it to be a transgender. They want it to be a homosexual. They want it to be a black person. And they just haven't gotten what they've wanted yet. You know, they want something to happen with. Because you know if a white boy took a crack at Kamala Harris, they would just make jokes about it, right? Like they did with Paul Pelosi. They wouldn't give a shit. Oh, yeah, I saw the Happy Roadkill comic, too. Officials say the man behind the second Trump assassination was a minority. Another Caucasian Republican. You know, it hurts. You got to feel bad for them. Instant tummy ache. Werewolf Jester. I couldn't have said it better myself. Sounds like you're constipated. Well, they are. It's all the pain in their gut, you know? Can they imagine what they would do if it was a trans person? They're so desperate for it to be a trans person that every single time a white male shoots up a school, they're like, oh, it was trans. They were trans. They've done this with everyone. They said the first shooter was trans. They said the shooter in Georgia recently was trans because he had long hair. Like, they don't care. They're going to start calling people black. They're going to have a shooter who's got my skin tone, and they're going to be like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. I've seen less tan people. They're drooling for it. They are. You need to read about the shooter and how deranged he is. Excuse me, it's called having aura. He was rejected from fighting in Ukraine for being unstable. Literally, Annie.
The man accused of trying to assassinate Donald Trump left this: a rifle with a scope or sight attached, 2 rucksacks, and a GoPro camera attached to a fence. The Secret Service says that at around 1:30 p.m. local time, the man was seen hiding in bushes close to holes 5, 6, and 7 of the Trump International Golf Course in Palm Beach, Florida. You can see there are trees and bushes between the course and the 2 roads along the perimeter. Authorities estimate the man was between 300 and 500 yards from Donald Trump. The man then fled, but a member of the public saw him getting into his car and told police. Shortly afterwards, the police stopped him on the I-95 highway. This image, released by the police, shows the vehicle
like that, huh? Imagine snitching like that. Not cool.
After it had been stopped. According to sources speaking to CBS, the man is Ryan Routh, and BBC verifiers identified several social media accounts that match that name and has cross-referenced them with an image of a man allegedly being arrested at the scene. In 2020, this post from Ryan Routh criticizes Donald Trump and says he voted for him in 2016.
No, read the whole thing verbatim, you coward. While you were my choice in 2016, I and the world hoped that President Trump would be different and better than the candidate, but we were all greatly disappointed, and it seems you are getting worse and devolving. Are you retarded? I will be glad when you gone. Aura. Oh, sorry, 2106. My apologies.
But we all were greatly disappointed. I will be glad when you're gone, he writes. More recently, he's been heavily involved in recruiting foreign fighters to come to Ukraine to join the war against Russia. Last year, he was featured in a New York Times article about international volunteers in Ukraine. There are also posts about COVID, accusing China of biological warfare. And there are pro-Taiwan and pro-Palestinian messages too. Ryan Routh is now in custody in Florida, suspected of the attempted assassination of Donald Trump.
Everyone in the Ukraine volunteer community was calling this guy out as a scammer months ago. He's just a schizo. I might be projecting memories that aren't actually there, but I genuinely feel like I remember seeing his face at some point in the past. Because I know that I've covered news of, or at least seen people complaining about grifters in the, Ukrainian volunteer. NATO Andy. Yeah. Well, what matters most, he tried to recruit a bunch of Afghans to fight with him in Ukraine, lol. That's pretty funny. So he's politically incomprehensible. I mean, his views overall were pretty right-wing. He's just also a nut job. You know? He wrote a book about the Ukraine war. Pretty active member of Ukraine's Unwinnable War, the fatal flaw of democracy, world abandonment, and the global citizen, Taiwan, Afghanistan, North Korea, and the end of humanity. That's the title. And then the description of the book seems to just be text from the book, and this is indeed just schizo writing. I can confirm I don't need to read the entire thing. This is schizo writing. Huh. He invited Kim Jong-un to visit him in Hawaii. Well, who amongst us hasn't done that? Either way, this probably isn't going to be the last time this has happened, but one of two things is going to happen eventually, right? Either someone is going to take a shot at Trump, who is not a white Republican male, or someone's going to take a shot at Kamala Harris. And as soon as one of those two things happen, the dynamic is going to change quite a bit, and rapidly as well. So, yeah. So yeah, everyone cross your fingers that the next like 17 times we wake up to headlines with someone being wacky, it's a white Republican male, you know? Wherever everyone loves to play this game, they do it from both ends. Where for the Republicans it's like minority, and from our side it's not a minority. And so far we're winning. We're crossing our fingers much harder. They have Nikki Bugs, yeah. Dude, there's so much to cover. I think the rest of the stuff that I'm going to cover tomorrow. I have to read donations from 2 days, and we have only got 40 minutes left. Also, I'm likely to get stun locked at some point. So, all right. If you've enjoyed the stream, you've got bad taste in everything except for a quality selvage denim. Hit like and subscribe, please. Thank you very much for watching. We're going to cover donos. We'll be here tomorrow with politics. There's more to cover. Yeah, barely info. That's on the list for tomorrow as well. That was covered earlier today. WBGN_. All right. M. Defmech, thank you for the incredibly kind 10 tier 1 subs. The Liberal, thank you for the $5. Max 5 Lotus, thank you for the $10. Very kind of you. The US Philippe, James Word 98, thank you for the $5 both. I want to check out Elden Ring, but it can only play it on my PS4. Can my PS4 give me the full experience, or should I wait for a newer console? I don't know. I've never played Elden Ring on the PS4. I don't know how it was received there. I haven't heard many complaints. I imagine it's quite good. Björn Hall Verts, thank you for the tier 2 sub. Really appreciate that. Appalachian Anarchist, thank you for the $5. Panthera, thank you for the tier 2 sub as well. And Dick Thulu, thank you for the gifted tier 1 sub. Very kind of you. Horizon, thank you for the $10. I have a full body denim jumpsuit and it's the most comfortable thing ever. Haters are incapable of conceiving of how comfortable good denim can be. I would like it if I might gamify this a little bit to the benefit of my brain damaged audience. It's kind of like how, okay, listen, all right? Modern fast fashion, where all of your fabrics are 50% synthetic that sound really, or that feel really soft at first, but get more and more uncomfortable as you wash them, are like phone gotcha games, okay? And denim is like Stardew Valley or Elden Ring or Fallout New Vegas, where it might seem a little bit more difficult to approach at first because there's a greater depth of the systems involved, but then once you lean into it and get familiar, it becomes the best and comfiest experience there is. Did I do it? Did I do it? Now I get it. There we go. Don't pretend you like Stardew Valley, you fuck. I've been thinking I might try it out at some point if I ever have like the free time to, but this era is not the election season 2024 is not the time, you know? I've been wearing the same ripped jeans for months. Don't judge me. Why would I judge you for that? You can wear the same pair of jeans for like your whole life. Just wash them? Yeah, once a year. If it's good denim, at least. 3 Arrows Bill, thank you for the tier 1 sub. I had a moment recently where I brought over a well-meaning but ignorant friend of mine on trans issues, and it was watching you that made that possible, so thank you. Nice! I'm really happy to hear that. That's fantastic. Seriously. Nothing rarer and more delightful than being able to keep a good friend, you know, through an important political disagreement because they come around. Are they not non-sub only Spider Olives? Sorry, I guess you have to sub. Nyeh. 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 Mock Nazi River, thank you for the $10. Really appreciate that. Hi Vosh, I'm in Kyoto. I was in Tokyo and it was great. I was just touching grass for 6 hours in a karaoke bar. Anyway, thanks for the content as always. Nice! I assume you're like doing tourist shit, right? You're not like based in Kyoto. Well, maybe you are being based in Kyoto. I couldn't really say. I hope you're having a great time over there. Is there grass in karaoke bars? Well, touching grass usually means like get away from the tech and be social for a bit. And karaoke bars are very social. I've never actually been to one. Well, I've been to one, but I've never like gone into a booth. Louis123, thank you for the $30. Games to play on and off stream. No guarantees. Titanfall 2, Shipwreck 643. Banff into the pit if you have time. Did you type this out extremely quickly? You might have. I can't promise any FNAF. I don't know what Shipwrecked is. Titanfall 2 has been on the list for a while. Elden Ring when? We got to catch up on politics, man. We got to catch up on politics. Would you play Space Marine 2 by any chance? Yeah, but probably on my own because I still promised to play the whole damn Metal Gear series. Metal Gear Solid series. Steel Radiance, thank you for the $5. You should either free Artemy or just eat him already. It's cruel and unusual to take a bite out of him every week and let him regrow. Listen, okay? It's called sustainable agriculture, all right? And so far it's going pretty well, I think. Sake, thank you for the 10 tier 1 subs. How can we not support fully federally funded abortion up to the 51st trimester and above? Stephen Miller still exists. Yeah, but I don't know if his mom would want to abort him. I don't know about his family relations. It's possible you would make it lawful, and then she'd just be like, no, actually, I approve of all this. Geralta Boring Trivia, thanks to the tier 1 sub. Speaking of JD Vance failing his Disco Elysium speech check, yes.
The Zoom has come to town.
Oh, nice meme. No OKBV posting. We'll get there when we get there, motherfucker. Dirt 410 with the tier 1 sub. What the hell are you talking about? Oh, hey, DM. Yeah, I've heard it's very parkour based. With MGS, will you be playing the original NES titles? No. I said I'd play the Metal Gear Solid games, not the Metal Gear games. Sake Tanuki, thank you for the 10 tier 1 subs. Rich Laurie wants to say it so bad, they all do. Oh, we saw this clip earlier in the stream. In fact, I retweeted that one. Yeah, no, I saw. It's pretty fucking... It's pretty indicative. It's pretty there, you know? It's pretty clear. What about Metal Gear Acid, Peace Walker, Portable OPs? Do you want me to play those games or not? Okay, I could just not play them. That's fine. I stupidly burdened myself with like 100 hours of live stream video game, you know, such and such. Are you finishing the Rising DLC? What part of... I said I would play the Metal Gear Solid games are you struggling with right now? I've already played Revengeance. Geisterstim, or Geisterstim, perhaps. Thank you for the $25. Really appreciate that. It's very kind of you. Longtime viewer of yours from Switzerland here. Thank you for all the good analysis you get us. Helped me keep my head up and build confidence in my beliefs. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, you know, I think that, you know, a part of what I do is trying to say, oh, you should believe such and such, or I think you should believe such and such. This is why I believe it. But a lot of it is also just having the confidence to defend those beliefs once you have them, you know? Thank you. Seriously. Lee Murd, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Kowalski from Nebraska, thank you for the $5. Once again, Vosh has blessed us with 3+ hours of entertainment. My $5 pays for like $150 an hour. If all of us did that, we'd achieve socialism. I agree completely. You know, one weird trick. I can't talk. I'm very hungry. Trick to achieving socialism that the deep state doesn't want you to know about. Zafinion, thank you for the tier 1 sub. We're banning Airbnbs in my area. You have given me a non-functional link. But the URL says Budapest district narrowly votes to ban short-term rentals. Nice! Airbnb should be illegal. Horrible fucking practice. They're kind of being outlawed as we speak. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, there's definitely been like a very, very real pushback to them in a way that like Ubers haven't experienced, even though people are kind of sick of their shit as well. Ba-dum-bim-bam-boom, ba-dum-ba, ba-da-ba. All right, let's check out the super chats. Shay McGowan with the $5. I like pleated pants. Also, people shit on Portland or LA as economic failures, but never address the economic cavities that is the Midwest. Yeah, people, the idea that like, if you listen to the right wing, you would believe that the most economically productive areas of the country that generate the most wealth are the ones that are failing. New York City, Los Angeles, Portland, Seattle, San Francisco, you know? Oh, those are the areas that are failing? The ones that are like objectively generating a colossal amount of wealth for this country? Come on. What's your take on the colored weft stuff Naked and Famous makes? Thank you, Fossil Draws. Not coming immediately to mind. Let me see. I haven't worn it, so I'm afraid I don't really have an opinion on it. I've found that the Naked and Famous jeans don't fit me especially well, though. I do like the interior dye quite a bit, though. I think it's pretty cool. Chat, behold. Look, they dyed the weft. We covered that, Luke McAdams. I think it's cool. They dyed the what? The weft. Brian S. Paskin, thank you for the €5. I'm glad you like Artemy. K. Grand, thank you for the $5. The elusive double Hitler. Not so elusive these days. Still alive. Thank you for the very kind $20. The worst for me is when arguing with a Trump supporter and I say I hate him for attempting to overthrow our democracy. They keep going, yeah, but what about his policies you don't like? Like, bro, did you just hear me? Yeah, the funny thing too is that he doesn't have policies and he never talks about policies either, right? Like the idea of a fucking Trump supporter deferring to, okay, well, you might not like his rhetoric, but what about his policies? Bro, all he is rhetoric. That's all he fucking talks about. He doesn't talk policy. What are you doing? Hillel Finder, thank you for the very kind $50. My favorite headline from this week was Republicans and their allies are doubling down on cats as an election issue. It's incredible and disgusting what Republican politicians and pundits can get away with. The bar for them is truly below the floor. Yeah, it definitely doesn't help that the Democrats have always been fucking incredibly bad at calling them out on it in a way that energizes and alarms the average American. You know, Kamala Harris sounds exactly the same, whether she's talking about small business tax breaks or, you know, Donald Trump doing, or J.D. Vance doing fucking Jewish pogrom shit against Haitian migrants, you know? She sounds exactly the same. Her rhetoric is the same. There's no shift. Chris Wilson with the $2. Google PFM Mines. You can't tell me what to do. You can't tell me what to do. Yeah, I'm familiar. Yeah, these are the Soviet mines that scattered around and look like toys, and the kids pick them up, and then they blow up. Diego B, thank you for the $20. You are describing Puerto Rico. The governor passed something recently that basically makes it so that if you're from the U.S., you don't have to pay property tax. Jesus. And now it's impossible to buy a house anywhere. I assume when you say that, you mean the continental United States, right? Because, you know, Puerto Rico. I assume you mean like, yes? Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's insane. So it's just a desperate hope that people with money from like Texas will move over to Puerto Rico and bring their wealth with them and they can get like a tax-free house. Insane. Insane. Would it really make a difference? Oh, it would. Found a cat. Happy, happy, happy. Ivory Valentine, thank you for the $10. Couldn't catch streams live for a bit due to my work schedule, but now I'm back at school and applying for my publishing masters. Wanted to say thanks for being an amazing study company as always. Very happy to hear that I can help you with that. I definitely could never study while listening to a live streamer, but I guess I'm more easily distracted. I'm made of weaker stuff than you are, you know, and I'm not ashamed of that. It's who I am. Now, he's eating the blue light again, folks. He's eating the blue light. What? Why does he like the blue light so much? Well, the tastiest donut, thank you for the $5. I'm curious if you still think the right is consolidating their power too quickly, too soon. I stand by my belief that what they were doing a year ago was bad strategy. Whether or not they win with bad strategy, I don't know. I mean, it definitely doesn't help that the Democrats aren't doing a very good job of breaking up that consolidation or appealing to people outside of the consolidation. It's not good. It's not good. It's not good at all. I would argue it's actually quite bad. Remains to be seen. Yeah. It's just so I would hate to lose democracy on a misplay. You know? You never want to lose because you misplayed. You want to lose because the enemy did well. Otherwise, it's just embarrassing. Sake, thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs. Alec Gunter is streaming. Don't you try to pay to influence who I end up posting. That sets a negative precedent. That being said, thank you for letting me know. All right, folks. Ghost Gallery, thank you for the $2. And Zenos Dumont, thank you for the 2 Canadian. Cute cat, but also thanks for all you do. Catastrophic Kitty, yeah. He's a very cute cat. Apparently, he was a real bitch while I was away on road trip in Portland. He was like, you know, angry and disagreeable. He was like snapping at people. He likes me, and I like him too. He's a cute little guy. Now he's just sitting next to me, so. When next Elden Ring? When it happens. Look, if I do a night stream, that's Elden Ring. If I do a morning stream, that's politics. I think that's a good rule to live by. You know, that's a good bit of wisdom to draw from. I'm going to send you guys over to Alec Gunter. Not because I was told to, but, you know, because I independently arrived at that conclusion at the same time. Take care, folks. I'll see you tomorrow. I love you all very much. And yeah, tomorrow will be a morning stream. You know, we can handle that, I think. We can handle that.